All right, 2:15 Pacific time. Joe House is there. We're going to talk football in a second, but House's team made a big basketball trade. You got Trae Young. We've joked about it for years. We wondered if he was the perfect wizard. You were appalled for the last week or so as the rumors started. And then you make a trade where there's no pick in it, and I'm not sure which team should be more insulted that they didn't get a pick in this trade. Trae Young for Kispert and McCollum, 2 expiring contracts. The trade happened a while ago. There's been 100 podcasts about it, but none of those podcasts have an actual Washington Bullets fan on it. So, Trae Young, you getting the jersey? What's happening?
Yeah, I love that you went Bullets. That's appropriate, right? Because we're OGs and we're old school, and I'm coming from it from an OG, old school kind of perspective. I will tell you that I have come all the way around.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it. Because you were mad yesterday. I was like, I'm going to give this 18 hours. Let's push this back in the oven. Great.
If you think about this from the perspective of trying to enhance your asset pool, it was a good trade for Washington. It was a good day for Washington. And
plus you outbid 0 other teams. I mean, the market was robust.
I will have my...
Even the Kings were like, we're out.
I have my quibbles, but here's the thing. We started yesterday with 1 player in the top 100, and now we have 2. So that's a good starting point, right?
So,
CJ McCollum,
19 hours after the trade, that's where you've landed? So you're trying to talk yourself into it? The top 100?
Here's the thing. The most important thing for the Washington basketball franchise in 2026 is to suck. And this trade absolutely, positively helps them suck because Trae Young has an injury that has kept him out of quite a bit of his own teams, the Atlanta Hawks games this season. And I think that trend will continue. It also is a very low cost for Washington way of looking at a distressed asset.
I love that you're like on autopilot with the explanation. You're dying inside. I could just
tell you.
You're dying inside.
I've had a chance. I went on local radio. I went over the Sports Junkies this morning.
Radio?
It was
Sports
great.
Junkies? I love those guys.
Our guys love those guys. I know. I went on Toronto radio today. I'm all over the place.
What the fuck is happening with House? This Netflix thing is really turned it around. Fairway Rollins going to be on Netflix next week?
Yeah, how about that? That's exciting. But look,
I thought you gave up nothing, and why not? And plus, he's going to probably either opt in or take a much cheaper deal for next year, where it's either you opt in for 45 or he'll do 90 for 3. And you get him at
a nice extension,
price.
Right? That rewards him for biding his time for the balance of this season. And then let's see if Washington can finally get lucky in a draft that's absolutely loaded. They protect themselves by not winning enough games to fall out of the bottom 4. They must finish in the bottom 4 of the league to make sure that they have a pick that won't drop below 8, because if it gets to 9, the Knicks take it. Right?
Yeah, I don't even know if that's possible.
Can't have that.
I'm looking at that now. You have 10 wins already.
Well, I'm not kidding, buddy. I was at the Wizards Magic game. Now, I don't know what the F is going on with the Magic. They
you
are
know what's going to go on? Their coach is going to be on Redfin soon, looking for new places to live. Is what's going to happen.
Are they quietly tanking? What am I misunderstanding with the Magic? Like they put their third stringers in, and those third stringers made a very spirited comeback against Washington. So much so that I almost fired off one of my favorite, betting angles of the season, which is, hey, the Wizards are up by 17 going into the fourth quarter.
Oh, the
Why
live
don't you
bet
just get a little bit down, live bet on the Magic? And the Magic came all the way back. They were down by 4 points.
Yeah.
And none of their starters saw the floor for the rest of the game. All of those third stringers were on. It was Jace Richardson and Jet Howard all the way to the bitter end. But Washington,
you were texting us. You were texting us during that second half, and it almost seemed like Jamal Mosley was trying to get fired because he just kept all his dudes out. They have a Paolo problem too. We can talk about that another time. The Bill Simmons podcast is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live. They have Your Way. Go check out Your Way. You can build the bet that fits your play your way. Plus, don't miss out on the NFL playoffs, one of my favorite times of the year, all month long. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/BS to get started. Get ready for the playoffs. Let's go. Must be 21 plus, present in select states, 18 plus in D.C., Kentucky, and Wyoming. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit rg-help.com. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. So Trae Young, who made the Eastern Finals once, worth mentioning, is only 27, which is a nice time to trade for somebody. And you gave up nothing other than expirings. In worst case scenario, he just leaves this summer and it's just two ships passing in the night, right? Best case scenario, maybe he comes in on a cheaper deal. Maybe he needed a change of scenery. The thing that's always bugged me about him, other than the fact that he doesn't play defense and his teammates don't really seem to like playing with him, he can't make threes anymore. And this has been a long time. He peaked with threes in 2022 at 38%. And since then, he's been 33.5, 37, 34, and this year he was 30.5. Combined with the fact that he's not getting the line like he did. And it's a little like the John Morant thing, where in your head, it's the young guy from 5 years ago, and I'm not sure it's the same guy. So that's the part. I trust you. You're one of the basketball people I trust. You're going to have to watch him all the time now, and you'll know what's actually going on. I don't know anybody who's been watching the Hawks all the time.
Well, I don't think that we're going to get a real indication of what his role with this team is going to be until next season. I really, really, really hope that he plays tomorrow night. That is to say Friday night against New Orleans Pelicans, because I'm going to that game and I hope that that's his debut. But I bet the over-under, we should ask FanDuel if they'll do this, of games played by Trae Young over the rest of this season. I would set it at 19.5, right? He's not going to touch the floor.
I'll take that now.
Yeah,
I think it's like 12. Yeah.
I
think they'll make an arrangement. He'll get some surgery that he's always needed.
The only thing is that the poor Washington franchise, it's been reported, is embarrassed by their attendance figures this season, because I guess the open and notorious tanking job, not putting butts in seats, is not producing much in the way of gate money. But so that would say, let's get some Trae buzz right now, get some butts in seats. But it doesn't. It's counterintuitive to our goal, which is bottom 4. That's it. That's the only thing that matters.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be a rush to the ticket gates for a guy who doesn't play defense and is shooting 31% from 3, but taking 9 of them.
Gilbert Arenas thinks he's a superstar.
Watch out, traffic jam. Here it comes.
Gilbert Arenas thinks he's a superstar, so
I'm fine. I don't mind a change of scenery trade when you give up nothing for a guy who at one point was a meaningful NBA player. And he's only 27. It's not like he's 32. I feel like you or the Kings were the two teams that were probably going to be swimming in this pool. The most interesting thing about this for big picture is what this did for Atlanta from a trade flexibility standpoint. That's where my head went immediately. That's where a lot of the reports have come since. Is this step one, the gateway drug to the AD trade? Or my theory, you go down the road pretending you're going for the AD trade, but you're really kind of pressuring Milwaukee a little bit to be look, we're going to do this AD thing. If you speak now or forever hold your peace with Giannis. And by the way, the Bucks lost last night to the Clippers, which I thought was a bad sign because they've been playing okay. The AD thing won't cost much because they got McCollum's expiring. They got Porzingis is expiring. AD's making $54 million. You throw in a pick. I don't think it's the New Orleans pick, but maybe something else. I don't know if Reese Shay's in that. I wouldn't give up on Reese Shay at age 20. I still kind of like him. And then Dallas, if you do that and you're just getting expirings and a pick, now I'm tanking. Now I'm trading Gafford for Kuminga. Now I'm trading PJ Washington. Now I'm trying to become a bottom 5 or 6 team. And I'm just punting on the season, telling Kyrie to take the year off. And then the other thing with Atlanta, if you get Davis, which I think we can argue about whether that's even a good idea, they're at least in a better spot than they used to be. If you're Dallas, could you then take McCollum in that deal and flip him for Fred VanVleet in a pick? And if you're Houston, and you're getting 0 from Fred VanVleet, you can turn him into McCollum for 3 months and maybe even re-sign VanVleet after the season. I don't know. It just felt like there were some dominoes in play with this house.
Well, I will say this, and I'm interested in your take on this. I don't mean to immediately take every single piece of content that we touch and flip it into what does FanDuel say, except I'm very interested in what FanDuel has to say.
I beat you four hours ago to this. Go ahead.
Regular season wins for the Atlanta Hawks right now, 40.5
over.
Is right there at plus 104.
Over.
Plus money for the Hawks over.
See, that's not where I looked. I looked at Hawks 27-1 for the East. I thought caught my attention.
If they got 3 months of AD, plays. Huh?
3 months of AD actually giving a shit with the rest of the team that they have. We've watched the East. Who do you like in the East? Do you like anybody? I don't.
I like the Knicks. I do like the Knicks. I think the Knicks are good.
I like Detroit, but I don't know if that's the team that they'll have.
Well, I loved your conversation with Goldsberry. I mean, there's a deal to be made, but it's just do they want to mess with the chemistry?
Right. Do they want to move ahead of their cycle?
They're tough, man. That's a tough team. I am been so impressed with Detroit this year.
So Anthony Davis, assuming that this is piece number 2 in this trade, and I think, by the way, if you've been listening or watching or listening and watching to Rich and Max, Rich was spreading some breadcrumbs here. Just throwing that out there. Not to promote another Ringer pod, but I just promoted another Ringer pod. Davis, I think the big fear with him is he's got a big contract player option thing. I'm looking it up. So if you trade for him, and the issue would be there's too many miles, there's too much wear and tear. Well, Goldsberry and I talked about the other day. The Carfax for him was even worse. The report wasn't honest. Somebody lied about the extra 50,000 miles on there. He's got 54 million, 58 million, player option for 62 million.
Woof.
In the 27-28 season. And by the way, if you're trading for him, our guy Rich, the Ringer's Rich Paul, probably pushing for an extension at that point too.
Our guy Rich. How about that?
So you just have to factor all that in if you're Atlanta. You got Jalen Johnson on a nice cheap deal. He's one of the best star contracts in the league. I think he's like $30 million a year. You got expirings all over the place. You could probably afford the big one. From what you've seen of Davis, would this be your bet? I'm not sure it would be for me.
I feel the same way. I mean, you have an opportunity that you really can't waste if you're Atlanta here, right? Like you've done the thing, and this is my quibble. Nobody else in the entire NBA was in the position that Washington was in terms of taking on salary. You said at the outset of this, nobody else was competing for Trae Young's services. Washington couldn't get any pick out of this. Now, the pushback would be, I think, from the front office, as I've thought this through, why do we want an Atlanta pick? If we look at how Atlanta might fare over the balance of this season and the next couple of seasons, young core, let's see what they do in terms of this trade market. They might be good. So do you really want a pick that's going to be in the high teens or low 20s from Atlanta? Why don't we see how Trae Young performs over the next 18 to 24 months? And that's where your draft capital might come in if he's able to rehabilitate himself. So I'm over here making excuses for the franchise.
I just give me a swap in like 2085, just something. Give me some sort of swapperoo somewhere.
Yeah.
That would be a thing. Like you got all those swaps in the Bradley Beal trade.
Amazing. Although
Which
I don't
turned
know
out to
now.
be great, except Phoenix is pretty good now.
God damn it, Colin Gillespie. Can you just slow down a little bit?
Yeah, so if I'm Atlanta, I go down the road with AD. I feel like I try to see if I can get him for cheap. And as I'm getting close to maybe being in the vicinity of landing the plane on a deal, I push hard with Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I say, look, man, we have all the expirings you need.
Yep.
We have the New Orleans pick. We have all of our other picks. We have Risa Shea. Like, let's have a real talk here. What are you doing with your team?
2 first-round picks. That would be
give
amazing.
you a get-out-of-jail-free card. Plus, we have the pick that is like either the best of the Pelicans pick or the Bucks pick. You're the Bucks. You can tank. Now you can tank with no conscience because you might get that pick. So that's what I would do if I was.
This is a very good deal. Just, I want your reaction to this. Parlay, Atlanta Hawks over 40.5 games, Dallas Mavericks under 30.5 games. Is that too few for Dallas? That parlay pays out plus 289.
My only fear with Dallas is what Goldsberry said on the pod we did on Tuesday, that they have a kitchen right now that, let's just say Dave Chang would be throwing punches. There's like 5 people in the kitchen.
Well, that's a helpful thing.
No, it's a group paralysis thing.
But does
Where
that
you just have,
that doesn't
you have too
translate
many
into
people
wins
in there. I know, but it's what they should do is if you're going to trade Davis, then you just keep going and it's a fire sale. And, PJ Washington's on a good contract. He would be really helpful for
Bunch of
a team,
Gafford
right?
would fetch something attractive.
Gafford for Kuminga is my favorite fake trade.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Is that because you want Dallas to tank?
I have a confession house. I didn't tell you this.
Let me hear this. Let me hear it.
As you know, I've mentioned a couple times over the years, I have Clipper season tickets. I share with the one and only Mike Tolan.
The great Tolan.
Said over the weekend, usually we go to the Warriors games together because Steph Curry and Jokic are my two. I'm going if they're there. Wemby has now entered that group. Jokic, Curry, Wemby. I'm there if they're in town.
Unimpeachable.
He's like, I can't go Monday. You want the tickets? I said, no. Let's sell them. And we sold them.
Wow.
Wasn't available for my buy. Steph comes twice. The 2 times a year Steph comes. I rain checked it. Made up an excuse. I'm under the weather, Steph. I can't make it tonight. I just didn't want to watch him on a shit Warriors team with fucking Draymond getting kicked out of every other game or Steve Kerr getting mad at the refs or these fucking guys that come in and Butler taking 10 shots. I couldn't do it. It was going to make me mad. I wanted to enjoy my Monday night. Didn't go.
Amazing. Unbelievable.
Like Steph Curry, who's, by the way, having an incredible year.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
I sat home and watched that game and was, unimpressed as always by the Warriors.
Really, by the way, no regrets. Wasn't
Right.
like I was sitting there at 10 o'clock going, damn, I should have gone.
Right.
But I thought that was a sad moment for the Curry.
I'm sorry.
And Kerr's been saying over and over again, he's like, we're so far away. We have no chance. Like, I don't know what his agenda is with that.
Telling the truth.
The real story is we're not a must-see team anymore, which is totally different.
What do we do?
You have Steph Curry in your team who's,
You got to pour a little out. What's what? Anchor Steam Ale. Isn't that up there in the Bay Area? Isn't that the beer? Anchor Steam.
Anchor Steam. Good beer.
One
other thing happened yesterday. Jaylen Brown had and I've been very praiseworthy of Jaylen Brown this year. He had his first, I'm doing great this year and I'm on ESPN. Everyone watch me for a couple hours game.
Oh, I thought
awesome.
You were going to talk about his first. He went out with his natural hairline.
No.
That is an underrated story here.
We don't talk about it on the BS podcast.
What about the Trae Young hair plugs?
I don't know about that either.
Don't do Trae Young. I was thinking about monitoring the growth of his hair because that's part of the refresh here. He arrives in Washington.
Right.
We don't know what his hair looks like, and he starts growing like a giant head of hair. It would be amazing. I feel like I should start get a Twitter handle. To monitor Trae's hair growth.
White shaved his head for us, Derek White.
Yeah.
Looks great. It was like a game changer for him. And LeBron seemed like he shaved his head the other day, and I thought he looked really good too.
LeBron's just handsome.
I thought
what's happening with his beard and he's doing a great job.
It's the best he's looked in a while. I remember when Karl Malone shaved his head near the end was a huge move for him. Right?
It
he
helped
had like
him.
the Dennis Haysbert kind of look.
It did help him.
But so Jaylen had there was no ball movement. Murray was unbelievable. Like just destroyed the Celtics. He was great. He's got to be in the All-Star team. But it just worried me a little that Jaylen,
drinking his own Kool-Aid a little bit.
Yeah, this team was like a very unselfish, the last night didn't look that way. So we'll see how it goes. All right, we're going to take congrats on Trae Young.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break. We're going to bring in the Duke, Billy Gill, our picks counselor, to help us turn it around in the NFL playoffs. Here we go. The Bill Simmons podcast brought to you by FanDuel. Football fans, we've waited all season for this. It is time to switch to playoff mode on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, all FanDuel customers can get in on the action with a wild card reward for NFL wildcard round. Just pick your card. You can win up to 100% profit boost. We made all of our picks on the Thursday BS pod. Also have a special thing I think they put up on FanDuel of you can bet on will Jacksonville or New England win the AFC title plus 250 if you think those are your teams and Denver's not going to do it or anyone else. Head to FanDuel.com/BS for a chance to double your winnings for the NFL wildcard round. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs. Must be 21 plus, present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. This episode is brought to you by Searchlight Pictures. Have you ever hit rock bottom and found yourself telling jokes on stage? I have not had this happen, but that is the new film directed by Bradley Cooper. It's called Is This Thing On? Starring legends Will Arnett, Laura Dern, Andra Day, Bradley Cooper. It's about a guy trying to get his life back by throwing himself into the New York comedy scene. I saw this as a child of divorce. Obviously, I'm in on all child of divorce movies. Enjoyed the stand-up stuff. I thought Will Arnett was really good. Bradley Cooper. I've been with him since Star is Born as a director. Is This Thing On? It's worth saying it's now playing only in theaters. Get tickets today. All right, Joe House is still here. The Duke, Billy Gill, is here. You can hear him on The Ringer NFL with Sheil a couple days a week. Very entertaining, as well as College Football Tailgate, which is just, I looked in the Golden Globes nominations, not nominated this year. It felt like a snub.
I feel like we started too late in the year, like there's the cutoffs or whatever. So next year we should be fine.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe we didn't get in front of the voting committee in time. So 2025, I had a terrible everything year. I had my over-unders house. I was 13-19. That's where I ended up. Even though I had Denver, New England, Seattle, Chicago, like I had all the main ones, and then everyone in the middle just killed me. I think I went 0-8 in the South divisions. All like the fringe ones, like Buffalo not getting there over Philly. I just was a bad year. And then for the picks, Ringer 107, 40-50. My worst year in a while. But the good news is 2026, small sample size, 2025. I'm going to bet on the history with me. I doubled down. I did 3 days of work. We brought in the Duke. I'm feeling good about Ringer 107. Billy, how you feeling about the playoffs?
I feel like for you guys, this is a turnaround point in the season, right? You're 40-50. You're still in it in terms of Ringer 107. Last time I was on with you guys, I think you went 3-2 or 4-1.
Yeah.
The playoffs, I don't know how I'm feeling. I'm excited that we're here. It was a good regular season. It was an exciting season. The playoffs were missing kind of like the classic people in the playoffs. We're missing, I think, I don't know who the team that you root for is. There's always one of those. I mean, you would root for the Patriots because of Drake May and all that. But there's also not really like the team you hate. Maybe the Eagles are that team just because they're the defending champions. But it's kind of wide open in terms of like teams and storylines and who you're rooting for, rooting against headed into the first week.
That's a really good point. We don't have the everybody in America can align one way or the other teams. I think most people, House, would you agree? I don't have to ask House because he's from DC, but I think people are kind of done with Philly and their contempt for being entertaining. Even their own fans seem like they kind of can't stand them. But other than that, I don't really have any sort of hatred for any of these teams. I don't think. It's not like people would be like, I fucking hate the Rams. That Sean McVay, Stafford. Like you going down the line, it's a pretty likable group of teams.
It feels like this could be like the season that we get two random teams in the Super Bowl, which I don't know how I feel about. Like, it's kind of like in basketball. Like you hated the Warriors towards the end because they were there every year, but also you wanted to kind of see them in the finals. With the NFL, it's the same. Like, I want to see an established good team in the Super Bowl. Two random teams, I feel like I'm going to watch either way, but two random teams will be like, is this the Super Bowl?
Well, that's I was looking at some of the exactas, trying to find some value in terms of the Super Bowl matchup and the outcome. And I landed on Seattle beating Jacksonville.
Oh, fucking A, House. That was the matchup I had.
Well, you can still do it.
No, that was,
are you cursing at me?
No, Seattle-Jacksonville is the most likely Super Bowl in my head.
Well, I just looking at the last 15 years, once every 5 years, we get one of these matchups that Billy's describing. So the last one was Cincinnati against the Rams. Now, the Rams had been to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff against the Patriots, and the Patriots strangled the life out of them. But we had a really exciting Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow's Super Bowl that really came out of left field. I kind of feel like that's the situation that we're in this season.
I couldn't agree more. I've been comparing it for the last few weeks to the 2008 season, which was the year that Brady blew out his ACL 8 minutes into the season, and then just kind of all hell broke loose. And we ended up with Carson Palmer in Arizona in the Super Bowl against a pretty strange Pittsburgh team. And that was just kind of the Super Bowl. And it turned out to be a really good game, but I don't feel like anybody was watching it going, these are two peak football teams. It was just kind of where we landed. I think Cincinnati and the Rams is a good one, even though the Rams were good that year, but the Bengals making it is the kind of thing that I think's in play this year. So we all agree on that this is going to just be a weird playoffs.
I think
it feels
so.
like it. Looking back to the 2020 Super Bowl between the 49ers and the Chiefs, like obviously that was the start of the Chiefs dynasty and the run that they went on, right?
Yeah.
But at the time, did it feel like that to you? Like if you could forget about everything that happened after the fact, like, oh, the Kansas City Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl, like Andy Reid's, I guess, back. Let's see if he does it. That seemed like a random one at the time. Then you had like Raheem Mostert running loose. I think he had like 200 something yards the week before to get him to the Super Bowl. It seemed like those were two random teams that ended up being kind of like powerhouses as the years went on.
Well, what was the year? It was Vrabel when they made it to it was Tennessee, Cincinnati, right? Wasn't that one of the years when the year Cincinnati made it? I guess they beat KC.
They beat Tennessee. You're right.
They beat Tennessee, but it was, I think we got killed in that game house. Ryan Tannehill
sure
killed
did.
us.
I don't forget
I still feel like the bruises from that one.
Yeah, there's still a chalk outline.
One of those Tennessee years when it just felt like Tennessee had a chance to make the Super Bowl. We have that sometimes. I'm ready for that this year. If I had to pick, so FanDuel did a bet for me that people can do that Jacksonville or New England will make the Super Bowl. I think the Pats, House disagrees. I think the Pats and Jacksonville win this week and we go to round 2 and that's going to kind of decide because I do not believe in Denver. I don't know. Billy, how do you feel about Denver?
I saw that it at FanDuel right now, you get plus 800 for the Broncos and the Seahawks to both make it both number 1 seeds.
2 1 seeds.
Yeah, which seems like 2 1 seeds. Like you should do that. But I don't know if anyone actually believes in Denver. I know that they had a great season. They're the 1 seed, obviously, but there's just something about them. Bo Nix, is he actually that good? Sean Payton, I mean, I don't trust them. I really don't. I feel like this could be a division round exit for them, depending on the matchup.
The problem with Denver is Jacksonville went in there and kicked their ass. Like if we didn't have in our sort of recent memory seeing Trevor Lawrence go into Denver and it mattered in meaningful like December football, and they just whooped them. I mean, it was one of those games that Denver's defense just couldn't keep up. That's the problem. With that in our recent memory banks, you can't say, oh well, this is all Denver. This is an all Denver path here.
Yeah, I thought the same thing about there's certain games you can't get out of your kind of the taste out of your mouth. We had Denver that game, of course, in Ringer 107, and Jacksonville kicked their ass for 3 hours. And it was impressive. And I actually don't think they've got enough credit for how good they've been the last couple months. They have talked about this every week. I think it's been a big rallying cry for them, which is another thing. We're going to go in the playoff manifesto in a second. They're a pretty complete team. And the catch is Trevor Lawrence turns into a pumpkin in the playoffs. And you're like, I knew it. I knew that was going to happen. But it just might not happen. We're going to go through the playoff gambling manifesto, which I've been working on every year since I had my old website, pre-ESPN. And I sent this to you guys. I'm going to read through it quickly. It's been pretty reliable over the years. We've added a couple things over the years. There's some stuff that doesn't qualify for this year, like beware of the looked a little too good, the previous round team. That's rule number 1. We won't know about that till round 2. Don't bet against God, puppies, and gambling theories from Pakistan. That's really Tim Tebow, Kurt Warner related. When religion comes in a strong way, just put the flashers on.
Mm-hmm. Rule
number 3 has been incredibly reliable this entire century. Beware of the nobody believes in us team. But then we also had that the don't try too hard to talk yourself into the nobody believes in us team either. So I want to stop here. I think the Duke probably has the best feel for this. I like calling it the Duke, even though I don't even think you really like it.
Okay.
The the nobody believes in us. Jacksonville has tried to embrace it. San Francisco, Carolina's out. I mean, Carolina's a plus 10.5 underdog at home and round. They don't even count. Is San Francisco feel nobody believes in us to you at all?
I was trying to figure that out. The three teams that I wrote down coming into this week into nobody believes in us, Jaguars that you mentioned, the Panthers that you kicked out. And I'm wondering if the Bears are one of those teams that's a nobody believes in us team. Because the fact that they're an underdog at home seems surprising to me.
Can I offer one more? Because part of the nobody believes in us is you have to play out the entire upset in your head, followed by the post-game interview after. And I found myself moving to Monday night, Houston, Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh not only covering the +3, but winning outright. And then Rodgers talking after and doing the dismissive Rodgers thing and going, look, nobody's believed in us all year. That hasn't changed. And doing that and be like, oh, this is how the Steelers feel. But it's almost like baked into the Steelers. So House, does it even count with them?
No, it's part of their identity. Nobody believes in them, including their own fan base. I mean, they were literally chanting "Fire Tomlin" less than a month ago.
Yeah.
The fans in Acrisure, isn't that the name of the stadium? Fire Tomlin.
Yeah, that was a slap in the face.
And yet here we are. So, right, it's part of the DNA. It's part of their voodoo. I don't think that they qualify.
So Jacksonville is the team, because I think the case for that, on top of that, they've been playing the card for 8 weeks, is they are not favored at home as a 3 seed against a team they have a better record than they've been out playing for the last 3 months. And Buffalo's favored because of Josh Allen. Really only. That's the only, there's no other reason. So I think that's the answer, Billy. I think it's Jacksonville. Okay. Rule number 4, be careful of the everybody believes in us team and the nobody believes in our QB but us motherfuckers team. There's a certain level of nobody believes in us where they get very, very possessive and protective of their own quarterback. You saw this happen with the Rams with Jared Goff a little bit, but there's certain, I don't think that qualifies, but the everybody believes in us team. Who is that, Billy? Who has too many people on the bandwagon?
He's right.
The Rams?
He's right. Rams. It's the Rams. Duke is on it. It's the Rams.
Yeah. Anybody else? Is there an AFC? Not really. I don't think anyone believes in any AFC team.
People are high on the Seahawks, too. I mean, they're the 1 seed, so it's easy to be high on the Seahawks. But we haven't seen Sam Darnold unravel yet, which he did at the end of last year some.
Yeah.
And it hasn't happened this year, so it makes you wonder, is it going to happen at some point? I mean, he has the bye week, so it can't happen this week, but it seems like it's the Rams right now.
I think that's fair. They're a 5 seed. They blew their chance to win the division. They've looked a little gamey in a couple of these outdoor games. We'll come back to them later. Rule number 5, beware of any team that could use a notable off-field distraction or tragedy as a galvanizing force. Not in play yet. Rule number 6 is a really important one. Never pick an underdog unless you genuinely believe that it has a chance to win. This doesn't always hit. There's been times underdogs cover but don't win. But for the most part, it's the playoffs. You're just better off thinking in your head, can they actually win? And this is a key one for Niners Eagles. Don't take the Niners plus 4.5 and be like, I think it's going to be close. Could be a 3-point. Like, do you think the Niners are going to win or not? And if you don't think they're going to win, don't take them with the 4.5. The next 2 are weather related, and they're also very important. And this one, especially, I added this year. Beware of all dome or warm weather teams playing outdoors in cold weather, or cold weather teams playing outdoors in humid weather, which is really Florida and Carolina. So we have that in play this weekend. We have a Florida home game and we have a Carolina home game. And it seems like Jacksonville is going to be high 60s. You have this Buffalo team that's cold all the time, getting a little gamey during the afternoon. I'm just monitoring that one. You like that one at all, House? Because we've seen the Pats go to Miami when it's 80. I know Billy enjoys when this happens. And they just run out of gas 2 hours into the game.
Well, I'm not going to blame the weather, but we just watched the Bills go down to Miami. Now it was, what was it, right after the Chiefs game? So they were running on empty, but you know, they got a boat race. I mean, that was 30-0, wasn't it?
Right. That could be the Rams in Carolina too. It's there's a bunch of like interesting reasons to zag against the Rams. Number 9, discount first 5-6 weeks in the season. I think everybody knows how to do that. What you did in September doesn't matter. Rule number 10. Oh, I'm sorry. Rule number 8 was the beware of any aging QB in cold weather unless it's Tom Brady. So this kind of fits Rodgers, but is Rodgers an outlier for this rule because of how many games he's played in cold weather? What's your ruling, Billy?
I had Rodgers as my guy for this one too. I looked up the weather there. It's supposed to be 32 degrees. It feels like 24. Not snow, 22% chance of precipitation, 50-mile-per-hour winds. But he spent his whole career in Green Bay in those games. So it's
he's
not
like a fucking Eskimo. Like he's not used to this yet.
32 in Pittsburgh is balmy compared to Lambeau.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that bounces off him. Plus, he grew up in Northern California. Weather's weird. So I almost feel like I should add Rodgers to this. Rule number 10 is crucial. When in doubt, gravitate toward the one pick that would screw over the most gamblers and experts and definitely be the opposite side of the single worst gambler you know. What is the most obvious game this week?
The Rams and the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Rams money line, Rams minus 10.5.
Rams money line.
So the most obvious pick, I think, this week is people doing money line teases with the Rams as the first leg, right? Either a 10-point tease, throwing the minus 650 in the rest of their bets. I think that's the most obvious thing to do this week, and it makes me nervous, just out of the gate, along with a lot of other things about that game. Is there another one that you think's too obvious? Eagles against the banged up Niners. Is that line moved a point?
It's the second highest line because it's a really weird set of lines.
You have anything, Billy? Anything too obvious?
I had the same one. I had for that one the Panthers. I feel like everyone's staying away from the Panthers, and we saw them beat the Rams a couple weeks ago. But it was like everything had to go right for the Panthers in that game, and everything kind of went wrong for the Rams in that game, and they still only won by a field goal and still almost tied the game with a field goal at the end. But then Stafford kind of fumbled the ball with 2 minutes left.
Yeah, I went back and I looked through that game. There was a pick six from Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers had 2 long pass touchdowns on 4th down, and then Bryce Young was great. Bryce Young was 3 touchdowns, no picks. It was arguably the best game he's ever played. And as you said, the Rams had the ball at the end and they kind of fucked it up. But I'm not sure the Panthers could do that well ever again. They were missing guys on their side. Like, I don't think they had J.C. Horn for that game. I think they're healthier than they were. But, do I think they could score 31 points against the Rams again? I don't.
That game fell apart quickly, though, and the Rams were still in it the entire way. So they were going back and forth. Rams score, Panthers score. Rams drive down the field, interception in the end zone. Then Panthers punt it, Rams throw a pick six, and then they're still in the entire game. Even with all of that going right, they were in it. And then it took rain at the end of the game. And by the way, Puka didn't have a good game. Like, he had his miraculous catches here and there, but he didn't have a touchdown. He had less than 100 yards in that game. They would need to replicate that exact formula to win again against the Rams. I don't see it happening.
Yeah,
none of us do.
So we only have to pick 5 Ringer 107 games. That could be the one we punt. It's one of these games we just kick to the side. That's a leading contender. Rule number 11 is don't ever talk yourself into terrible QB ever for any reason. This rule really came into effect the one year. Who was the guy in Dallas in the early 2000s who had to start? Quincy Carter, his name like that. He was really awful. And the line never adjusted for how bad he was. And it stuck with me ever since. But bad QBs in general, you just don't want them in the playoffs. Miami's had a couple over the years where we've had some playoff games, not to bring up terrible memories, but
Skylar Thompson almost beat the Bills.
Skylar Thompson worked out the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rule number 12 doesn't count yet. Beware of any team that celebrated the previous weekend's playoff victory, like the one in the Super Bowl. Rule number 13 is a recent ad. Don't dismiss the nerd evidence if the nerd evidence is absolutely overwhelming. So this is where we move into the DVOA EPA land. And honestly, it's stuff like Buffalo having the 31st ranked run defense in EPA is significant. When you think of the Jaguars have had some games where they have run on people's asses like they did to the Chargers. It's just when you see Chicago's another one that has some pretty convincing nerd stuff going against them.
Yeah, you take the turnovers away from their defense, and it's
the
one of the
luckiest
2
team by
worst defenses in the NFL.
Yeah, they're 25th in DVOA anyway. EPA, they were 17th against the pass and 24th against the run. Would they have 22? They're plus 22 with turnovers this year. Can't ignore any of that stuff. Rule number 14 is this one I added this year. Our old friend Mike Lombardi, who stopped podcasting and become the UNC general manager. He had a law that I always thought was great about bad offensive lines don't travel. And the rule is bad offensive line, you can get away with it at home. But if you're on the road, the crowd's loud, your offensive line sucks to begin with, just be careful. And there's a couple lines like that this week, including the Chargers, fortunately for me. But I actually texted Lombardi and asked him if the Texans qualify, and he said yes.
Oh.
Shaky offensive line for them, too. Rule number 15, look at the coaches. Just take a long look. We don't have any. Do we have a stinker coach this year, Billy? Do we have a playoff coach that you're just like, I don't trust that dude at all?
I mean,
we don't have a Norv Turner this year.
No, we have some rookie coaches, right? That we have to kind of see. Is Liam Cohen going to do well? Like,
yeah.
How's McDonald going to do in the playoffs? So you have unproven coaches, I would say, but no like outright stinkers that kind of snuck their way in there with a good team, I don't think.
House, any coach you just dislike?
Many people are still skeptical about Sirianni. His record is outstanding, both in the regular season and in the playoffs, but there's still that lingering sort of fear, skepticism that this Eagles team resembles the one from a handful of years ago, that where, the one a couple of years ago completely fell off the rails, and everybody saw the first round where they were favorites going into Tampa, and Tampa beat their butts, knocked them out of the playoffs. This is a different version altogether, because this Eagles team defensively is, a million miles superior to that one. But Shanahan, Sirianni, I don't know.
Did you have one, Billy?
No, can I ask a question about this rule? So there's a lot of hypothetical in this rule also that involves traveling and a passport. And I was wondering the specifics of that when we look at.
Should I read that?
Yeah.
So the whole rule is rule number 15. Take a long look at the head coaches, consider their playoff history, compare them in your heads to some of the all-time January stink bombers like Marty Schottenheimer, Jim Mora, Herm Edwards, Norv Turner, or the clapper, Jason Garrett. Then pretend you're flying abroad with one of these coaches and they're holding your wallet and passport the entire time. How would you feel? There's no coach in here that would make me nervous like that. By the way, I just, as an aside, may the clapper please come back. I saw he's interviewing for multiple jobs. Yeah. I've never been more excited for non-Boston news ever. House, I know you were delighted.
It's unbelievable. When Cousin Sal broke it out, we did our hump day headlines on the Wednesday Ringer Gambling Show, and he said it with a straight face. Jason Garrett is interviewing for the Tennessee job. I thought it was a comedy bit.
Right, you were waiting for him to finish the punch.
What has anybody been watching on television that would engender confidence? He was a horrendous coach in Dallas, undermined great teams at every turn, and then has been extraordinarily mediocre. The guy that said that he has, what is it, the ham bone, that mad game of frozen ham bone for the free. Get the fuck out of here. This guy? Are you fucking kidding me? Please, dear God, if there's a God, the football gods have been so good to us. Please, in 2026, give that man a head coaching job.
Billy, we didn't have enough comedy on the coaching sidelines this year. Everyone's hiring these young whippersnappers who actually know what they're doing. Mike McDaniel did his best.
Yeah.
He really tried to be hilarious every week.
Callahan was pretty good.
Yeah, God bless DJ Mikey Mack. We're going to miss him. Not spinning his tracks anymore for the Dolphins. But yeah, I felt we were late this year, right?
Yeah, this honestly was this the best coaching cycle hires ever? None of them flopped. Like, they all worked out. And this coming year, I mean, I guess you now have John out there, right? John Harbaugh's going to get a job right away. McDaniel, everyone's kind of thinking about, where's he going to be an OC? I don't know if Joe House wants him up there in Washington. That seems to be like a favorite.
Yeah, they signed up already.
Big fan. That's his job. That's his best, highest use. Let him be an OC for Dan Quinn.
I saw that Vance Joseph is getting some run now, and I remember him being terrible. And I went back and looked at his two teams, and he lasted 2 years with Denver. In the second year, Case Keenum was his quarterback. So I'm like, you know what? Who knows? Like, I think if we've learned anything, it's if you have a shit quarterback or a mediocre quarterback or whoever, like you just have no chance, right? There's other times where it's like Antonio Pierce, there's more stuff going on than your quarterback wasn't good, or Hugh Jackson. But with Vance Joseph, he's a very well-respected DC. So maybe there's some other coordinators they're throwing out. I don't
Brian
think
Flores.
Brian Flores, people seem to keep trying him out and it never really takes. But Harbaugh, had to be one of the reasons he must be happy. Which job would you take out of those two, Giants or Falcons? Because to me, I would take the Falcons 100 times out of 100.
Would you take the Ravens? I feel like the Ravens might be the best job that's out there right now.
Well, not for Harbaugh.
No, not for Harbaugh. No,
Yeah.
not Harbaugh. Yeah, no, if you're Harbaugh, I honestly was wondering if this is a thing where, they didn't announce Mike McDaniel's firing right away. Stephen Ross always wanted Jim Harbaugh. I was wondering if this is a situation, because there was the rumor out there where it's like 7 teams have already contacted John Harbaugh, but there's only 6 openings that would apply to him.
That.
So someone is out there talking to John, and then all of a sudden after that was out there, McDaniel's fired a day later. I wonder if there's like some insider trading going on there with Stephen Ross, where he's already decided, you know what, I couldn't get the Harbaugh I wanted. I'll settle for the other Harbaugh instead.
So, House, you could be New York Giants, Jackson Dart, Neighbors coming back, top 5 pick, good defense, 4th place schedule, famous franchise. That's pick one. Atlanta, loaded on talent. We're probably a 13-win team that went 8-9. They don't have their first round pick, easier schedule, and you could go right in and make an impact. Or Miami, you could just live in Miami.
Man,
what would you do?
Well, what Harbaugh would do and I would do are two radically different things. Because I would say to Stephen Ross, I just want $20 million a year over the next 5 years. If you give me $100 million, I'll come coach this team. The problem
Not even care who's on it.
Yeah, I don't care. Who's the quarterback of Miami next year?
Quinn Ewers.
Is he going to be the starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins?
He looked good for about an hour against the Pats, and then he just threw it right to us in the end zone. And that was that.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, right. The Duke, you're a Dolphins fan.
Yeah. It's been bad.
Who do you want?
The Tua, they have to get rid of Tua, right? Like, it's obvious that they're going to move on from Tua at this point in time, but it seems like that's going to be a thing just because of like financial reasons. They'll wait till after the June 1st deadline because then they can kind of move the money around. But they don't have a high enough draft pick to get a quarterback in the draft. You have to kind of hope that do they trade for a quarterback? Like, there's not a quarterback out there. What you're gonna hope that Justin Fields is released and then you try with him for a year and that he's bad enough?
Harbaugh is not doing that. Somebody might do that. John Harbaugh is not doing that.
Well, the Dolphins thing is going to be fire McDaniel. He then becomes an OC for a team. I see a scenario where he can then go, if he doesn't go to Washington, he can have a reunion in San Francisco, depending on how the playoffs go there. Or he can then maybe go up to Baltimore where he has Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and then he becomes the OC there. And then all of a sudden, he's an offensive genius again. You fired this offensive genius that you had because he didn't have the quarterback that he needed. He did the best anyone could probably do with Tua, right? But the thing that the Dolphins would do is fire the offensive genius without a replacement plan, hoping that you get John Harbaugh, who then goes to the Giants to coach Jackson Dart.
Right.
And then you have to figure out what to do.
How many times have somebody backed out on the Dolphins at the last minute? That's happened at least 4 times. I mean, you had Brady basically too. That was the other one. The secret Brady deal was one of the great 2020 stories.
I'm so that Brady situation is so wild. And with like all the tampering and cheating that goes on in the NFL, and like you read the reports of how kind of Brian Flores, he ended up suing the Dolphins and that was the whole thing, and suing the league, right? But then there were reports that like he kind of lost the team. Ryan Fitzpatrick came out I think earlier this week, and he was talking about how he changed, like from when he started towards the end, he became kind of like a dictator and was trying to embrace like the Belichick Patriots way without actually having any of the success to do so, right? But this is just one of those things where that he decided that was the moment with Tom Brady that he was not going to step foot on a yacht to cheat and bring Tom Brady to the Dolphins. And I don't understand why that is the point of integrity that you need to kind of like take a stand on. It's crazy to me.
Also, he was kind of cheating the whole time and then didn't complete the cheat.
Yeah, just if you're gonna cheat, go all cheat. Like there's no honor in half-ass cheating that then gets you fired.
Hey, you paid for the OnlyFans model to come over.
No, I didn't.
Sorry, House. That
No,
hit
I
too
didn't.
close to home.
How
my
dare
bad.
you? I did not.
I think the funniest outcome would be Harbaugh actually coming to the Dolphins and bringing Snoop Huntley with him. Any given Sunday style. Like
interesting.
Pacino. I'm going on a new expansion team, and I'm bringing Willie Beeman as my first signing. End of credits. It'd be amazing.
A nice reunion for Snoop Huntley, who was there last year when Tua was out and tanked the Dolphins season.
He can live in his same Airbnb. Crazy that age, 8 of the 32. That seems like a pretty high number for NFL coaching upheaval. Some of them are surprised. We said on Sunday night, going into Sunday that Pittsburgh-Baltimore was a loser leaves town match. I just really felt like whoever lost that game was done. Quickly, 4 more rules. Beware of any team that reminds you of the 2007 Giants. Maybe the Chargers. I don't think their defense is good enough is the problem, but it's that kind of blueprint, 17-14 type games. But I don't think we have that team this year. Make sure the team with the home field advantage actually has a home field advantage. Really crucial for the Eagles. The Eagles at home, their fans can just get really bummed out and kind of surly if it's a certain type of game. Where I almost wonder...
You mean a zero pass completion in the second half?
Yeah,
kind of
we've
game?
watched it.
One
you
of
know
those?
what I'm talking about. Yeah. There's a vibe that can unfold in those games. And I got to be honest, I'm a little worried about the Sunday night Pats game.
Why?
Just cold night, late. Just I
mean, your masshole brothers will have been drinking all day. Like
that's part of what I'm worried about. They might be might be peaking around 3 p.m. I don't know. Those night games always worry me. 18, look at the quarterbacks again. And rule number 19, don't try to be a hero. Just try to win money. So there's some good ones to apply to the 6 games. We'll take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to hit all the games. All right. We talked about it in the manifesto. Rams minus 10.5 Panthers. Give us your wacky angle for this game first, Billy.
I have 2 angles for this one. If you'd like 2, or I could just give you 1.
No, you can double up.
Okay.
We got all the time in the world.
All right. First angle. Is this Bryce Young's Powerball game / playoffs? Is this the game where they were out on him 2 years ago? They drafted him, didn't work out. Last year they benched him. It took a car accident for Andy Dalton to then get removed. You bring Bryce back. He then plays this season. He does well. It seems like he's not what they thought he was going to be as a number 1 pick, but he's now gotten them to the playoffs. It's hard to find a franchise quarterback in the playoffs. If he somehow pulls off a miraculous win, does he do enough with the Panthers, who are notorious for mismanaging everything in their organization? They still don't need to do this. They still have a 5th-year option that they could give him $26.5 million, and he still has a year on his rookie deal. But if he does it...
And they can tag him after that.
Yeah, but if he does it, is this something that gets the emotions to a place where they give him the Daniel Jones 4 years, $160 million deal?
Is that what we're calling it now? The Daniel Jones? I like it.
It's a Powerball. It's one game and you win life-changing money because, you just have the one game. You also have like Joe Flacco. You can go back to 2012 when he had the playoff run where he was done with his rookie deal. He wins the Super Bowl. He gets the long-term deal. And at the time, it was like $120 million, but it was like one of the highest average.
It really should be called the Flacco.
Yeah. It's the Jones. When it's Bryce Young, you sign him to the deal and then it completely falls apart. Like, we're not looking for something like, this is a statement game. He's arrived. Now he's here. He has one game. They make a bad deal, give him all this life-changing money. And then it's like, oh no, now our hands are tied. Now we need to figure out how to get out from under this contract because we're just kind of stuck in the middle for the rest of time.
Can I add an addendum to this?
Okay.
If Chicago, Philly, and Carolina all somehow win, which the first two teams are home, this isn't unrealistic, we would get the Bryce Young trade referendum Super Bowl in round 2. Chicago versus Carolina. If you remember, controversial trade once upon a time. And now if Bryce Young gets killed in Chicago, doesn't that solve your issue? He wins the playoff game, but then gets killed by the team that they made this crazy trade for Bryce Young, and then he does get the contract. if he beats the Rams and Chicago, now we're in a Trae Young 2018 situation where now you're a franchise guy.
Mm-hmm. Until you're not.
What's your other angle?
My other angle. Does Matthew Stafford know the MVP race is over, or is he going to try to be doing too much? So there's the whole Matthew
You think he thinks
Stafford,
it goes through the playoffs?
I think that he thinks that
Somebody's got to tell him.
There's too much going on here. I was going and I was looking on like message boards of Ram fans, seeing what they're talking about, seeing if they're excited. And it's just conspiracy theories over why Matthew Stafford is the MVP of the league. Like they are so upset that Drake May could win the MVP that they're just looking into different things. It's an obsession that they have. So here are some of the things that they've come up with. They were trying to make the argument that a 1-yard touchdown pass, which you have said and others have said, he would have just to kind of pad his stats and then he'd go in there and he'd lead the league in touchdowns. The argument by Rams fans that was being made was that the 1-yard touchdown pass is actually the hardest of the touchdown passes to come by because all you have is 11 yards of field to work with, where at any other point in time, you have a wide open field. So it would be easier to get any other touchdown than in a crowded 11 yards. Do you buy into that theory?
No. Especially not when I have Devontae Adams, who like his last remaining like super elite skill is to catch these short telephone booth passes.
All right. Do you want to hear another theory that they have going on?
I'd love to hear all the theories. By the way, the Rams fans were the ones who were planning the parties in New Orleans in 2001. See, now I'm going to root against the Rams. I don't like this Rams Reddit thing at all.
I think you wanted to root against the Rams this whole
I think
time.
I was looking for an excuse.
All right. So here's another theory that they have out there. They believe that Drake May intentionally padded his stats in passer rating by taking sacks, because that doesn't count against you in passer rating, to prevent Matthew Stafford from winning a quarterback triple crown of touchdowns, yards, and quarterback rating. And their argument was that Drake May was sacked 24 more times than Matthew Stafford, but only had 50 more sack yards. So therefore, these were all like close sacks where he could have easily just thrown the ball away, but was opting not to do so that he would have a higher passer rating.
That's amazing. So as somebody who watched every snap this season, first of all, he's running for his life 12% of the time because their offensive line, especially when they have left tackle. But he was really good at almost getting out of the sack and then getting chased down. So it was a lot of ones where he should have been sacked further back in the line of scrimmage, but was able to kind of fight for survival for 5 yards. So that doesn't add up to what we watched this season.
Listen, don't shoot the messenger. So that's all leading to, with those theories out there, is Matthew Stafford going to think that he's still trying to prove to people that he's the MVP? And if you remember, we talked about it earlier, last game against the Panthers, he had 2 interceptions. One of them was in the end zone, then another quick one the next drive.
He had a fumble too.
Yeah, then he had the fumble at the end of the game that ruined the game. I started looking at FanDuel. Matthew Stafford plus 130 for an interception might be some. If he's trying to force things, the weather's also not supposed to be great there. I looked into, because of the manifesto, I started looking into the weather in Carolina. AccuWeather says that at Bank of America Stadium, 70s degrees, real feel 66% cloudy chance, thunderstorms. It's going to rain probably second half of that game like it did the last time when he had that fumble.
Is it Rico Dowdle time? Could he be doing the Marshawn Lynch beast mode versus the 2010 Saints?
Amazing.
Is that in play?
You know what I want to parlay? I want to parlay that pick that Billy is describing. I'll see if FanDuel lets me do it.
No, they don't let you parlay the picks.
Oh, that's right. You can't parlay interceptions with anything.
No, because I wanted to do the Bryce Young. I actually looked at the Bryce Young pick parlayed with the Matthew Stafford pick. I thought that
how fun was that?
A perfect, everybody throws a pick in this game, and you can't do it.
Really? Because I was going to do it with Karen Williams over 64.5 rushing yards, because I think that McVay is going to try and protect Matthew Stafford from himself. And I think if the Rams get up by really, any 10 points, then we're going to see a ton of Blake Corum and Karen Williams touches in the second half. They're just going to try and run the game out.
I had another MVP wrinkle off Billy's MVP wrinkle. It is in play for Drake May and Matthew Stafford, the winning the MVP, but having a terrible round one playoff game and losing, and then they announce the MVP after, a.k.a. the Dirk Nowitzki. You remember when that happened with our guy Dirk? We love Dirk Nowitzki. Nothing was more awkward than
Golden State.
We Believe Warriors knocking Dirk out, and then Dirk was like, here's your MVP. Hey, thanks. Also, David Tepper what's he going to be capable of in the luxury box? I think is an ankle. Is it an angle? The much maligned over the years, David Tepper.
What a crazy franchise the Panthers
I don't want to make any jokes.
They really are.
He has too much money. I can't afford a defamation lawsuit.
So if the Rams win, they go to Seattle for round 2 unless Green Bay or San Francisco win. If you look at the nerd stuff, it's a massacre. The Rams had the 9th highest DVOA ever. Carolina was 25th offense DVOA and 22nd defense. EPA was just as bad. There's one thing that I thought was pretty interesting beyond what we mentioned. I really dove into, I spent a lot of time on the picks this week, guys. I really after the 40 and 50, it was like a wake-up call in a lot of ways. Aaron Schatz had a really interesting worst DVOA to make the playoffs from 1978 to 2025. And what happened with some of those teams on the list. So the worst team ever to make the playoffs since 1978 DVOA was the 8-8 2004 Rams. What happened in round 1? They won. They beat Seattle, who was 4-point favorites. The second worst team ever was the 2010 Seahawks, who were 10-point underdogs against the Saints. They won. The next team was a strike season team. We're not counting them. 2016 Houston was the next full season team. 4-point underdogs in Oakland. They win by 14. And the fourth team was the 1998 Cardinals. 7-point underdogs against Dallas. They win. And then the fifth team was the Tim Tebow Denver Broncos, who won in overtime against Pittsburgh as 7.5-point underdogs. So there's other people on the list. The point is, there is evidence that this kind of DVOA miracle would happen. The problem is, this would be pretty unusual from a point spread standpoint. This would be the biggest home dog that's ever covered a playoff game, basically.
House, I saw this that you might be interested in if you believe that Kyren Williams is going to kind of run all over them and it's a rainy day. So FanDuel has a game special. Kyren Williams and Rico Dowdle each having 50-plus rushing yards in each half, plus 40,000.
In each half. So both guys go over 100. I mean, plus 40,000. That's
Plus, I can't even. So it's $10 and you win $400,000.
$100.
Yeah,
$100.
100, you win 40. Yeah,
I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Math.
100 wins 4,000. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
Now, if you're worried about your 10-point teaser with the Rams, the last 20 times we had a straight up 9.5 point and up favorite, 19-1 straight up against that. The only time the team didn't win was the 2019 Ravens, who lost to Mike Vrabel's Tennessee Titans 20-12 as 10-point favorites. It's the only time since the Seahawks Saints game. And they weren't even home dogs.
So 15 years.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
And we talked about there's a lot of manifesto for this one, including nobody believes in us, the underdog, don't pick them unless you believe they can win. The warm weather team dome team playing in humid weather or cold weather, either one. Aging QB in weird weather. Is this the pick that screws over the most gamblers? Do you really want to put money on Bryce Young? The nerd evidence, and then the quarterbacks. House, where are you sitting in this game?
I'm going to take $20. I'm going to bet it on the Carolina Panthers money line. And I'm going to kiss that $20 goodbye. And that's it. That's the only bet I'm making on this stupid football game. You mentioned it. The DVOA unprecedented. The point, they have the same differential as the New York Giants. But this team is 8-0 against the spread, the Carolina Panthers, after a loss. And all of their wins this season have come after a loss. Well, they lost last week.
They've been a pretty good home team for the most part.
Pretty good home team.
Yeah.
This is the biggest point spread in the history of the NFL as a home dog. I just don't have any appetite for messing with it. Like, what do you get out of this? It could go exactly the way a lot of us imagine, which is the Rams get in, they roll. But man, we watched the Rams these last 3 weeks. Have you really been blown away by anything you've seen out of the Rams?
I haven't. I also think
3 weeks.
I think you can throw on them too.
That's definitely the other thing.
can. Arizona the Panthers got Coker back and T-Mac. I really don't think the Packers, the Panthers are bad. The weather was really weird in that Tampa game. Weird stuff happened in general in that game, but I felt like they should have been moving the ball better in that game.
Weird
the referees,
stuff.
they got
Jesus
boned over by
Christ.
every call. Couple props I was looking at. Puka plus 370 to have the most receiving yards in round one. Bryce was minus 118 for a pick. And if you just think the Rams are going to roll, you could do Puka 100 yards plus, Adams TD, Rams 29 plus points, and Rams money is plus 427 house.
Sure.
So you don't have to deal with the spread. What do you like, Billy? What's your pick?
I feel like the Panthers might get a backdoor cover here, but I don't see them winning the game. There was a time where Bryce Young, like 11 of his 14 wins or something like that, all came on game-winning drives. So it was like he's a clutch guy, but his team has to have him be in a position to be clutch, and I just don't see it happening because I don't think that this is going to be like the last time where everything breaks their way. He had those fourth down conversions that you said. He had the long touchdowns when he needed to have them. It's a team that you've been able to throw on. I'd say I think since week 13, they're towards the bottom of the league in defense on passes, where earlier in the season, weeks 1 through 12, they were towards the top of the league. So you can throw on them, but I don't think that they're going to win the turnover battle +3 again like they did last time. So it's a nice story, but the Rams, I think, are just too much for the Panthers.
I think this is the one I'm probably punting on for Ringer 107. But for posterity, in the eternal quest to go undefeated against the spread in the playoffs, we kind of have to make a pick house.
Well, here's the thing, and Billy just described it to us. The Rams are up.
The back door's in play.
31-14. The Rams are up. They beat the crap out of Carolina all day long. They let Carolina score one touchdown in the first half and one touchdown with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's 31-14. Carolina gets the ball. And you and I both know exactly what happens when the line is 10.5 points.
The line, it feels like you're getting a flash sale on extra points for the Panthers. 10.5 at home is insane. I mean, literally, we'd be making history with this I'm probably slight lean for Panthers plus 10.5, but I think it's out of Ringer 107. But just for posterity, if this was 9.5, it's weird. If it was 9.5, I'd probably like, fine, I'll take the Rams. But 10.5's like, you could be down 17 with 2 minutes left and cover. And we know the Panthers can throw the ball when they're behind. We've watched them do it. So I don't mind the Panthers. I didn't think they were terrible. Yeah. I felt worse about other playoff teams. All right, now let's get to the big boys. Packers, Bears, Saturday night. Narratives include the Green Bay owns the Bears just perennially. Bears trying to shed that. There's some nobody believes in us with the Bears. There's some Micah Parsons Ewing theory going on with the Packers. There's some major luck shit going on with the Bears being the luckiest team in the league. The Packers had multiple games when like they didn't punt but lost, which usually doesn't happen. What's your biggest angle for this one, Billy?
I have two for this one also.
Okay.
All right. First storyline to watch. Matt LaFleur versus Ben Johnson.
Have that written down as well.
Maybe rivalry. Because at the
got a little
moment,
testy.
The moment, it's a very one-sided rivalry in favor of Ben Johnson, who seems to be trying to make this a rivalry, and Matt LaFleur, who is not paying attention to him whatsoever in terms of like, this is a rivalry. So it starts with Ben Johnson, introductory press conference. They ask him, one of the reasons you came here, whatever, and he throws out there, I like beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. So then Matt LaFleur goes on a podcast. He goes on Busting with the Boys, and they ask him, like, hey, what did you make of those comments that Ben Johnson said? And he said, I don't really know Ben Johnson, so there's no beef whatsoever. So he kind of like, it's
a diffusing.
It diffusing, but also at the same time escalating. Like, I don't know who this person is, but I'm going to take the higher ground here and pretend that I am not aware of Ben Johnson, which is crazy.
He's basically like, I don't want to punch down. Which
exactly.
In its own way is insulting.
He's giving him the little brother.
So it's like a very backhanded, like, I'm not getting into this. I'm Matt LaFleur. So that's kind of the last we hear of it until they play each other, where they have two very quick, like, frosty exchanges after each game. It was very brief. There was nothing very welcoming there. There was nothing that you felt like, okay, these are guys that like respect each other, have respect for each other, right? And then that's seemingly the end of it, unless you want to read between the lines and you want to read into comments that weren't directed directly at Matt LaFleur, which was Ben Johnson. So Ben Johnson, in the post-game press conference after Week 18, he was asked, like, why did you have your starters out there? Because you look at teams like the Eagles who rested their starters. You look at the Packers who rested the starters. Now, the Packers had reason for resting their starters. They were pretty much locked in at 7. And also the Packers last year had injuries in Week 18 against the Bears. So they said, you know what? We're not going to mess around with this again. We're just going to rest
banged
everyone.
Up anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Micah's out. Jordan gets now an extra week of rest headed into the playoffs. So like it benefits them to rest their players. However, Ben Johnson is, one of the young and up and coming rough football guys from the world of Dan Campbell. And when they ask him, like, why'd you play your starters here? He said, we play football. Is that a backhanded message over towards Matt LaFleur saying, you know what? You're not taking every advantage here playing football. You're not respecting the game. You're not playing the full 18 weeks of the season. You're backing out. That's not us. We play football. Come hell or high water.
Yeah, that feels like a fuck you house.
I mean, on the one hand, I love it. It also will be hilarious if LaFleur, if Green Bay wins and immediately, well, he wouldn't do it because that would be evidence of beefing down. But if he slipped in there, we played football today. That would really just be, that would take it next level.
Really smart for him to play it the way he played it because he got the extra week to just prepare for the Bears, right? Although the Eagles almost screwed that up by that whole thing. He could have been preparing for the Bears for a week and then all of a sudden they're playing the Eagles anyway. I didn't mind it though, especially when you have a QB coming off a concussion. They've had some offensive line injuries. Like, let's be ready for this one. What's the other angle you had, Billy?
Well, and on that one, real quick, another thing that you can watch for in the post-game press conference, we talked about it with Chia this week on the Ringer NFL show. So this game, because they split and now they're facing off in the playoffs, it has set up a situation where either coach in the post-game press conference can say, I like beating the other team twice a year. So they can bring it back. And now there's 3 games, so it's not undefeated. But either Ben Johnson or Matt LaFleur can come out and send a message to the other one saying, I like beating Ben Johnson twice a year, or I like beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. So that's still in play if you want to watch after the game.
Wait, hold on. One thing on that. If Dobbs catches the onside kick, that means the Packers beat the Bears twice this season. Yeah. And then we move into the land of it's so hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. Did Dobbs intentionally miss the onside because they knew they'd be playing each other again? I don't know. Who knows? Did they tell him? It's much easier to go this route.
It's but also no, one of those
it
things,
is easier though for them now. It makes more sense that they would win the playoff game.
You also then show them, you give them this false sense of confidence. Like, look, we beat them during the regular season. Maybe then you go to overtime. So you see them kind of whip out some tricks that maybe they weren't planning on showing you. Yeah. So now you may have an advantage and maybe giving them that game. If you look back, who knows?
They stumbled into an advantage. Was not their intention, but I think it's better that they lost that game. What's your next angle?
All right, here's another angle. There's a battle presently going on. I don't know if you know this, of foam heads. So obviously, everybody knows about the cheese heads that the Packers wear. I don't know if you caught on to this, but after the game-winning touchdown, DJ Moore wore a cheese grater head, and he was celebrating the game with a cheese grater head. And the Bears have since been wearing cheese grater heads. Now, we've done some research into this situation. Here's the deal. Okay, those cheese grater heads were made by a company called Foam Party Hats. And Foam Party Hats initially was making cheese heads until the Packers sent them a cease and desist and told them you need to stop making cheese heads in 2024-ish. So to respond to the cease and desist, they said, we are now going to make cheese grater heads. And now that is why they've made these heads. And they didn't really catch on at first, but now since that game-winning touchdown, DJ Moore wearing it, now these hats are becoming a thing that you'll see out there. And it's all because of a cease and desist that the Packers sent to a company that was at one time supporting them.
And this is all leading to the Packers winning and somebody in the Packers taking the cheese grater head and doing this. I think that's what you just laid out is great for the Packers house.
I couldn't agree more. I love
that's like just chalkboard shit.
Exactly.
You're actually making cheese grater hats? Fuck you.
Right. Who are you? You're the Bears. What are you doing?
There's another thing here, Billy, that you didn't mention.
Okay.
Bears kind of felt like it felt a little cheap shotty in that Love hit that knocked Love that concussed him. And the multiple Packers have mentioned it.
Yeah.
That they didn't like the hit. So you got that one too. There's some chalkboard material all over the place here.
So you think maybe there's a little late, oh, we didn't hear the whistle on Caleb Williams possibly here?
Very possible. From the nerd stats, the most appalling thing, Packers finished 19th defensively in DVOA and EPA 21 pass, 19 runs. So their defense hasn't been great, but they've also been banged up. The Bears have been just bad on defense, as we discussed. Chicago's 3 wins. They beat Green Bay in OT on the onside kick game. They beat Pittsburgh by 3, and they beat Philly by 9. Those were their best 3 wins. And as many people have mentioned, they easily could have been 7-10 this year if you just switched the luck a little bit. There's only 3 manifesto games here, or rules here. The discount first 5 to 6 weeks of the season, which is when the Packers look pretty unstoppable. Don't dismiss the nerd evidence. So the Bears thing, it's an issue. The head coach's rule, number 15. We talked about, is there a coach that you're worried about? Why don't we have like a Clapper this year? There's some Matt LaFleur stuff that's out there. There's some Matt LaFleur detractors. There's some Packer fans who are like, not sure about this guy. There's been some up and down stuff with him. There's some people who are like, look at his record. He's been successful every year. He's made it work with every QB. And there's been some other people who are like, what has he won? What about this game? What about that game? So it's just warrants mentioning. There's a blueprint here of Packers dominate the game. Bears get their 2 fucking lucky plays, however those happen. LaFleur screws up something. That's what worries me because, fellas, I love the Green Bay Packers in this game. And this is the first lock for me. Packers -1.5 in Chicago. I just think they're better, and I think they're going to be able to throw all over the Bears. And I think you can. We saw San Francisco move the ball. Would they score 5 straight touchdowns in that Bears game? I just think they're going to be able to move the ball up and down the field on them. And I watched both of the games they played. I thought the Packers, I just think they're better. And if the Bears win this game, it will be a fucking voodoo game. So that's where I stand. Where do you stand, House?
I don't like the strategy that they used last week of playing everybody and trying to win that Lions game.
And putting the miles on themselves and losing anyway.
They lost. That's the worst part about
it. The worst part is they lost.
That defense was on the field for 70 plays, over 70 plays. Like their bye week was week 5. Like it's time to rest, like this time of the season. So there is already a strategy advantage that I think that Green Bay has. And I think this factors into the LaFleur Johnson assessment. Like, one guy has been here before. Now, he did have to learn the hard way, right? He played his guys in week 18 last season, and they came in. They still gave Philadelphia everything Philly wanted in Philadelphia in round 1, even with the injuries that they suffered. But, I think very quietly, they're coming in here very prepared, not intimidated one bit. Ready to kind of establish their version, their game script here at the very outset of this. The counter will be the Bears' ability to establish the run. The run has been their bread and butter.
Can they run the ball down the Packers' throat?
That's
but on the flip side,
right.
Jacobs, you always talk about Jacobs when he's healthy. And if it seems like they got Jacobs pretty healthy for January, and I think they can run the ball on the Bears. I just think they're going to be able to move the ball on the Bears, and I'm always going to take that. I actually like the Packers in a tease just as much to +4.5, but for the purpose of this, we'll go -1.5. Billy, what do you have in this game?
I think I have the Packers winning this one also. I feel like you mentioned the fact that the Bears had their bye in week 5. The Packers also had their bye in week 5. And I think that you were talking about the coaching and LaFleur. LaFleur may have shown us kind of the advantage in coaching a longer period of time by saying, you know what, we haven't had rest. And it was not even in this game, it was last week. We haven't had rest since week 5. We're already locked in. Let's get our guys healthy because there's nothing we can really do here but hurt ourselves. So let's go into this as healthy as possible, as rested as possible, where, the Bears are going into it and they're just kind of Ben Johnson's wanting to prove himself in the league. He plays everyone when he already had the 2 seed, didn't realize, I guess, that the Eagles had forfeited
Right.
essentially the 2 seed. He could have looked up at any point in time and realized what was going on and that they were safe with the 2 seed anyways and rested his guys, but that's not what happened. So they're lucky that they didn't get anybody hurt and they're going in at full strength. But I feel like the fact that the Packers got that extra week of rest, they gave themselves a bye headed into the playoffs, is going to be beneficial because, both games that they've played this, the third time in like 6 weeks that they've played each other. They know each other. Both games were very close. So I think that health might be what the advantage is in this situation. And that's where the Packers kind of have the advantage, the upper hand.
There's one of my favorite theories in play two here, House. The Bears, when was the last really important Bears playoff game?
It was
the crowd's going. It's a Saturday night. It's the most important Bear for a lot of people. People bringing their kids who are 13 who have never been to a huge Bears game. People flying into Chicago. And sometimes if you can punch those teams in the mouth early, that crowd gets super shell shocked. On the flip side, if it goes well for the Bears right away, it becomes the most festive, fucking crazy atmosphere. So I almost feel like the first quarter, you're going to know whoever you picked. You're either going to be like, oh man, I can't. It's going to be one of those. You'll know in the first half hour with this game, I think.
The weird thing about those two games is that both, they ended up being great games, but both first halves kind of sucked. So
they're stinkers.
Week 14 is 7-3 at halftime. Week 16, it was 6-0 at halftime. They were both not good games at the beginning and then turned into great ones in the second half.
The Bears did that a few times this year where they just limp along offensively for 2+ hours. The Burden piece is, I think, a fun wrinkle for this because he really was good in that Week 17 game against the Niners. And Collinsworth was making it seem like he knew this was coming for weeks, but it was really his breakout game. But if they can get a Dunze back and have actually some weapons, but I like the Packers. Well, this next one is my favorite of the 6 on the board, Bills-Jags. I've tipped this off a couple times this week. I love the Jaguars in this game. I can't believe they're not favored. I literally can't believe it. Weighted DVOA, they're third. They've have some really nice wins, including beat Houston by 7, beat the Chargers by 29, won in Denver by 14, killed Carolina, beat San Francisco by 5. Buffalo's big wins are the Pats, where they came back from 21 down and won by 4, and then they killed Pittsburgh. And that was it. They had as easy of a schedule as the Patriots did. Mildly warm weather, which I think we have to mention. We don't know if Josh Allen's completely healthy. We don't know if we trust the Bills kicker at all. Bills defense last 2 months gave up 30 to Billy's Miami Dolphins, 32 to Tampa, 34 to Cincinnati, 31 to the Pats. And most important, the Jags have won 8 straight. And they beat Denver, and they really whooped Denver and the Chargers. Did 30 first downs in that Chargers game. I don't get it. What am I missing, Billy?
All right, so here is my storyline for this game. Does Trevor Lawrence pull the classic Royal Rumble move where he's just been forgotten, essentially, sneak back into the conversation and win a playoff game? Because everybody's painting this game as, look, there's now a clear path. There's no roadblocks for Josh Allen. Mahomes is out. Lamar Jackson is out. There's no Joe Burrow. There's only one stadium that Josh Allen hasn't played in his career. It's Levi's Stadium. Is this his path? Is Super Bowl a destiny for Josh Allen this season? And we've completely forgotten about Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence comes into the league and he's viewed as, this is a generational quarterback. This is the best quarterback we've seen since Andrew Luck, who was the best quarterback we've seen, since Peyton Manning. And then he goes and he has the first season where he has a bad season, but that's Urban Meyer. So there's an asterisk for Trevor Lawrence on his first season.
Big fat asterisk.
Second season, 9-8, wins 5 straight games, goes to the playoffs. They're losing that game the entire time.
The Chargers game.
An absolute collapse by the Chargers. So he wins that game. Next season, Trevor Lawrence, hey, this is the year that Trevor Lawrence, he arrived last season. He took his team to the playoffs, gets that playoff win. This is the season that he takes that next step. 8-8 season, 5 straight losses to end the year. They missed the playoffs. Then he gets injured last year. This season starts out 5-4. So you're kind of like, you know what? This may not actually happen for Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, we were on this podcast. I was out. Done.
Okay.
Because when you blow 2 in a row, this is the years, I'm out.
That it seemed like okay. So him and Josh Allen were kind of opposite, right? Where Josh Allen came in, he's a number 7 pick. His team is booing him. The fans are booing the draft pick. He has a complete disaster first season in terms of turnovers. Then Brian Dable fixes him. And then all of a sudden, he makes his way up to like top 1, tier 1 or tier 2 of quarterbacks. And then he's in the discussion. Then it becomes a question of like, well, when is he going to finally win the big one? When is he going to get over that hump? When can he beat the Chiefs? And then he wins the MVP, so we kind of like give him a pass. So it's like, okay, well, Josh Allen's there. Now he has a clear field. So now the pressure's on Josh Allen. Trevor Lawrence is that wrestler that goes in. He leaves 5 minutes into the Royal Rumble. He's laying outside by the announcer's booth. He's forgotten. He's hiding under the ring. No one remembers that Trevor Lawrence is
hiding
even
under
there.
the ring. I like this.
Yeah. He's pulling a hornswoggle.
Did he get knocked out? I don't even remember.
Yeah,
no, he's still there.
It's a Jericho. You forget that he's even still in the match until there's like 3 people left. All of a sudden, he slides right back into the conversation. That's where Trevor Lawrence is. Because you were saying, like, you were out on him earlier this year. On the NFL show with Shield, we were talking about, do these quarterbacks have it? Like, are these quarterbacks, like, these are just not good quarterbacks? And the number one conversation that we had is, are these good quarterbacks? Was Trevor Lawrence. And since we had that conversation,
I remember I listened to that in New York City in November, and I felt like that was the same Trevor Lawrence conversation for 2 years. Yeah. Does he have it? What's going on here?
Then he went on an 8-game win streak, and he shut us up very quickly.
Put a fire under him.
Yeah, but everyone, again, has forgotten Trevor Lawrence in the conversation of next round of quarterbacks. And now there's a new batch of young quarterbacks who are there. And Trevor Lawrence is existing in this nice world where there doesn't seem to be any pressure on him whatsoever. And I wonder if now this is when he thrives.
You know who hasn't forgotten about him? His teammates. Did you see the Diamond Grill video?
I did see the grill that they gave
love him. Yeah. Like it's weird because I always was like, he seems like a kind of a strange teammate, but his teammates are all in. I've watched him. I've studied him in the post-game win videos when the coach turns it over to the QB. It really did seem like he's emerged. House, he's 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions his last 3 home games. They've won 8 straight. He killed Denver in Denver. That was when I gave up. I was like, this guy's good. Denver's a good team. He went in there and he rammed it up their butthole. House, what are your Trevor Lawrence's thoughts?
Well, you hit on one of the key aspects to this. Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars have been very good at home this year. This is a good home team. They have
a good crowd.
Good crowd. They have 3 wins over playoff teams, as well as good wins over the Chiefs early in the season, and I would say a good win over the Colts, who they kind of own in Jacksonville.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, they beat KC and Indianapolis when those teams were actually good, and those that don't get counted in the playoff wins, but they were playoff wins at the time. So they've had 7 really good wins.
And by contradistinction, this is the splits between Buffalo at home and Buffalo on the road are stark. And so I just feel like, I can see that Jacksonville crowd. I can see, the symbiosis between Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence. They finally are at a spot where they're speaking the same love language. They understand, how to tickle each other. And it's been very successful. The thing we'll see is their ability to establish the run, and especially establish the run outside. That's been Buffalo's bugaboo all season long. But I just love the idea.
Do you think the Bills are that good? I don't get it. It's basically Josh.
It's just Josh.
Some duct tape and some thumbtacks and some glue.
James Cook led the league in rushing.
The run game.
But I'm saying we've seen over and over again, they've fallen behind, and then Josh brings them back, which was what happened in the second Pats game. Yeah, James Cook's really good.
Can Trevor Lawrence?
I think Jacksonville can take James Cook out, so it'll come down to a Josh thing again.
Well, I think that they have They have like one of the league's best rushing defenses. So it's the best rushing against the best rushing defense. It's a classic something's got to give game here.
Yeah.
What do you think that Trevor Lawrence can lose a week where he's gifted grills by his teammates and then randomly shows up at a fan bar and is squatted by fans who put him over their shoulder?
I would say no. I think House and I are old. I've just seen this too many times now. This is why I think round 2 is going to be Jacksonville, New England to make the Super Bowl. I just think they have the look. They've hit every checkpoint. They're home. they're somehow underdogs. There's no world where this should be Bills by 1.5. Like if you gave me, I think this line should be like Jacksonville by 2.5. From Manifesto, nobody believes in us. They got that. They got the cold weather team playing in humid weather. They have the nerd evidence and they have the home field advantage. In Buffalo, the only thing you would point to them is like Trevor Lawrence is going to turn into a pumpkin. He's been waiting to do this to you for 9 weeks. Don't trust him. But I kind of trust him after the Denver game. I thought he answered all the questions. I have a prop for you. ETN 60 plus rushing yards. Tootin 20 plus rushing yards. Lawrence 20 plus rushing yards. Jags plus 1.5. Plus 458 house. Just back in the old Jags running the ball a little bit. Because I think they'll be able to run the ball on the Bills.
I want to get in on that. So send it to me.
And also the South, if you think Buffalo is going to win this game, the South special is in play. Jags winning the first half, Buffalo winning the game. Big Josh Allen comeback. That's plus 650, Billy. I love the Jags plus 1.5. I love the Jags in any tease. House and I promise you, will be teasing the Jaguars and the Packers this weekend. I already know it. I know it. We're going to text about it. Billy, who do you have?
I have the Jaguars winning also. I feel like they have the momentum. Trevor Lawrence has no one paying attention to him. I feel like they're going to establish the run with Etienne. His over 15.5 rushing attempts is plus 110 if you want to take him. The Bills have a good pass defense, so they're probably going to want to establish a run against the Bills. I feel like, maybe weather comes into play. Maybe it gets a little wet here, but I think that the Jaguars kind of pull this one out.
And we didn't mention the other coach that is a little gamey for these playoffs, Sean McDermott.
He seems to sneak by every
year. And every year it's like stuff that I never feel great about. I thought I was out on this Bills team as a playoff threat when they had the Brandon Cooks variable in that, what was that, the Eagles game when Brandon Cooks made the big play. And it was like, Brandon Cooks is on the Bills? I had no idea. We've reached that point of the receiver season for these guys. It's like Keon Coleman's a healthy scratch. I think the Jags can get explosive plays. I think they can run the ball. And I think their defense is good. They're going to be fired up and nobody believes in them. We're going to take one more break. We'll do the other 3 games. Eagles minus 4.5, 49ers is our next game. This is a Saturday afternooner. It's probably going to be cold. The nerd stats do not like San Francisco's defense. I don't like San Francisco's defense. They lost their 2 best players. They patched stuff together. Now they've lost all their linebackers. They got run up and down the field by the Bears. And then that Seahawks game in week 17 felt like that could have been a more of a blowout than it was. Sam Darnold had other ideas. San Francisco's last 10 games, they've averaged 27.5 points a game, even with the stinker against Seattle. Philly's last 9 games is 19 points a game. Philly's laying 4.5 in this. The only case I can think of for Philly here is that it's hard for them to score points and it's easier for San Francisco to score points. And if you just do the points, this will be in the 20s and it'll be close and take the points. Billy, I don't want to take the points, but what's your angle?
I have 3 storylines to watch in this one. First storyline to watch is the fix in. So if you start looking at this game, do you want the Eagles to go deep on a deep run here? Do you want a potential situation where you have an established team in the Super Bowl where we talked about there aren't really name brands? If you're buying into the fact that the fix may be in any games in this playoffs, it might be this one where the head official assigned to this game is Alan Eck. So Alan Eck has been an official in the NFL since 2016. He wears number 76. That's not important. But he grew up in Williamsport, PA, allegedly grew up an Eagles fan. And in games that he's officiated, the Eagles have an 8-1 record where the 49ers have a 3-6 record.
Oh, wow.
Will there be home cooking with this officiating crew?
I like it. This is good. Good start. Strengthens our Eagles case. What do you got next?
All right. What's the expiration date on a revenge game? Because a lot that's being talked about in this game is going back to the NFC Championship game a couple years ago, which ended up being a disastrous game where Brock Purdy goes out, Josh Johnson goes out.
Yeah, that was, and also like, was it the Eagles' fault that their guys got hurt?
The 49ers fan seems to be holding this against the Eagles for all of these years, but can you have a revenge game if the first game is an NFC Championship game and the second one is a wild card weekend round? Like, I feel like this is not fitting of the title of revenge game, but both fan bases are trying to make this a thing, it seems.
That's dumb. I
Yeah.
don't agree with it. The Eagles defense, like, look at the personnel. It's basically 100% different.
Well, and it's also 100%. Is anybody hurt on Philly's defense anymore? Aren't they healthy and
They're healthy.
humming and ready to roll?
Yes.
Yeah, what's the third angle, Billy?
All right, here's a storyline that you should watch that has come out, a report that came out this week that you might want to look into. It doesn't affect this game because it's in Philadelphia. However, there has been a study into this electrical substation outside of Levi's Stadium.
We read this.
Okay.
It's incredible.
So keep an eye on that situation, because that is something that could play out in the Super Bowl because it's in Levi's Stadium. And it could be an explanation for why it is that the 49ers have been getting so hurt. You have a guy who's the founder of something called Sunlight is Life, which is described as a platform for transforming your relationship with light for maximum impact on health. And he went out there with something called a Gauss meter, and he started taking readings at the practice field, where he said the reading is 8.5 milligausses when the average is somewhere in, I think, like the 0.3 to 5 range. Then he went to like the weight room, and the milligausses were somewhere in the 10 to 25 range.
And then they were telling him to leave. They started to get testy with them.
Well, I start wondering why. They figured out the situation. There's a lot of milligausses going on apparently near Levi's Stadium. Apparently, because of the fact that there's this substation right next to the stadium, there's an increased exposure to chronic ELF, and that ends up affecting cartilages and can lead to ruptures. So the explanation for why it is that the 49ers have been so hurt over the years and why people get hurt at Levi's Stadium, some people have said it's probably the turf, it's probably the playing surface. But no, it might be this substation that's right across the street from Levi's Stadium.
Well, you undersold. They have, what was it? They had like way more tendon injuries than everybody else the last 10 years. Like a kind of aberration type of number.
It's tendons, ligaments, and Achilles, all of those injuries. It's way higher than the average, not just with them, but with visiting teams coming and getting hurt. It's something that should be considered. Maybe not for this game because it's a road game, but someone needs to look into this situation.
Don't worry. I had it down as one of the manifesto rules that apply to this game. Rule number 5, beware of any team that could use a notable off-field distraction or tragedy as a galvanizing force. Could it be the Niners? Like a Norma Ray or Silkwood situation, the work proletariat rising up to protest the ELM, bands them together? I don't know.
We found it. We thought that it didn't exist, but we found the rallying cry.
Could they be like they refuse to play in round 2 if they don't fix the electromagnetic force that's endangering their tennis? I thought that was the weirdest story of the year. The year's only 8 days old. The other one was the Ashley Tisdale toxic mom group story.
Yeah.
I don't know if you followed that one. Then
course,
the people in the mom group came flying back at her.
I don't know this
one. You didn't follow this one?
I don't know this one.
Ashley Tisdale wrote an essay about her toxic mom group that shut her out and excluded her and how mean everybody was. And then the mom group started lobbing shots back. And this was my wife's Super Bowl. I have the NFL playoffs. My wife had this.
Hillary Duff's husband was then like subtweeting her, basically like taking pictures, like the picture that she put in her essay. And then they started bringing in like seemingly non-celebrity moms in this mom group and putting out pictures of their whole family. Like, look at this person. This is who this is. You should hate them. It's very weird. It's very weird. And here's the thing about Ashley Tisdale that I think she's going to learn. And my wife is not part of any celebrity mom groups, but something that she'll learn, normal mom groups, normal dad groups, exactly the same and exactly as toxic as celebrity mom and dad groups is what you're going to find.
Yeah, don't exclude us.
Celebrity has nothing to do with it. There are toxic people in all of these parent groups. You're not going to escape it.
Yeah, it's the moms spend more time talking about the other moms in the group than their own kids.
Yeah.
I can't believe that she had that party and didn't invite blank. And then that's just like 3 days of texts and arguments. And it is. It's never really been captured in a TV show. I've never seen it captured correctly, like in an HBO. The whole mom group concept.
You think that's the angle?
I don't think it's enough. That's probably why it hasn't been captured. But I guess the closest was Big Little Lies got into it a little bit with the Nicole Kidman show. Got into some of it, but not in the way. Maybe this will be a TV show, the Ashley Tisdale.
I mean, it's the premise of like every Housewives, though. Like no
True.
scripted show, I
Yeah,
guess.
the reality.
But like, every Housewives, the Mormon Wives on Hulu, like all of those really capture the essence of this story.
Well, the problem with the mom groups, the dad groups, we're just meaner. We'll cut people out. The mom groups, once people in, they're in for life.
Yeah.
And once you get added to the text chain, you can't get out of that.
Well, it's because there's always an ally. There's always a,
they always have the one. Yeah, because that's what
one.
we saw this in college. We had these
Yes.
groups of giant 16-person girl groups,
Yes.
and then there were all these little rivalries and things going on in the middle of it.
You also have like the private allies that won't speak out publicly, and then you're like, "What are you doing? Like, you're on my side. What's happening here? Why don't you stand up for me?"
Switzerland's. That's House. Yeah, House never stands up for anybody.
How dare you?
Manifest House. Any angles for you before I go into the manifesto for this?
No, we covered
Eagles Nest. All right.
I mean, go ahead. You're going to make the pick.
Well, nobody believes in us is in play for the Niners. We mentioned the galvanizing force. Never pick an underdog unless you genuinely believe it has a chance to win. This is a big one. Rule number 14, the law of Lombardi, bad offensive lines don't travel. Doesn't look like Trent Williams in this game for the Niners. And if I knew he was playing, I would be more excited about Rams plus 4.5. I also don't love how McCaffrey looked the last couple of weeks with the back stuff. Ricky Pearsall might not play. We talked about all the defensive. I just feel like sometimes in football, you can pass the point of no return with injuries. And I feel like we're there with the Niners. And I wish they were healthier because I would love to go against this Eagles team. Coaching stuff we talked about. Home field advantage we talked about. There's a parlay possibility for Ringer 107 House with Eagles money in either under 51.5 or over 37.5. Do you have a strong feel on over-under in this? Because we know Eagles methodical. Nick Sirianni does the thing. He tries to limit the amount of minutes in the game because he feels like he has a better team. But does the under 51.5 intrigue you at all?
Well, I already bet the under. It opened at 46. It's down to 44.5. I bet it again. I think this is a classic Philadelphia Eagles strangle a team. And we just watched this football game. It was the Seattle Seahawks in San Francisco winning 13-3. As soon as this Eagles team gets to 10 points or 13 points or 16 points, the game is over.
Yeah, they go into the four corners. Do you like that, Billy? Eagles money line with under 51.5, and then we don't have to worry about the hook, or you just like Eagles minus 4.5?
I think I'd take a minus 4.5. Looking at the second part of rule number 15, would you trust either of these coaches with your passport when abroad? Like Shanahan's kind of Sirianni, I feel like would very easily lose my passport and all my possessions. Like
that's what Big Dom is for. You have to give it to Big Dom.
Yeah, that's true.
He would have Big Dom, so he might not lose it.
He can't manage a passport. That's why he has Big Dom.
That Super Bowl saved him because he was on the hot seat forever. And that almost seemed like if there's a coach that gets fired after winning a Super Bowl, it's probably Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
Just because like he seems like that type of guy. But Shanahan's also sneaky in a situation when you're like, are we going to get over this hump? Like, there's been the injuries. There's been that substation across the street that's been sabotaging you, obviously, in your players' health. But when are you going to take this to the next level? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Well, the comeback stat with him is the weirdest one. The no comebacks for more than 7 in the fourth quarter since 2017. That's got to be the weirdest stat in the league. All right. So we'll either for Ringer 107, we'll either do Eagles minus 4.5. We'll make a game time decision on that. Next game. This is where House and our friendship's going to be tested. Patriots minus 3.5, Chargers. The nerd stats favor the Pats. Chargers nerd stats surprisingly disappointing, including their offense, which 26th pass EPA. The Pats were first. Chargers defense 9 versus the pass against EPA and 3rd against the run. So that's a big strength with them. Both teams have 3 wins against decent teams. Chargers lost to Jacksonville by 19, Houston by 4, and Indianapolis when they were good by 14. The Pats' last 14 games, Billy, what do you think they're averaging points per game? Last 14 games.
22.
30.7.
Wow.
Easy schedule.
More. Yeah.
They haven't scored less than 24 since week 3. They have 28 games, or 10 games over 28 points. And before Billy gets to his big angle on this game, I just want to say 2 things about the quarterbacks. Do you have quarterbacks in your angle?
I have quarterback adjacent angles.
Do your angle, and then I'll do my thing.
All right. Well, the first angle, we can do this angle really quick. This is the third angle, but we'll get to it quickly to get it out of the way. What happened to Justin Herbert? This is kind of along the same lines of Trevor Lawrence. Justin Herbert was promised to be this guy. He's this great quarterback. It's just a situation that's not working. 0-2 in the playoffs. He has that collapse against Trevor Lawrence.
One of the worst losses.
He has a good record, obviously, this season, 11-6.
By the way, really bad last year in the playoff game. Don't sweep that one under the rug either.
He's not been good in the playoffs. He hasn't lived up to the hype, but he also kind of is living in the world of Trevor Lawrence that it's like, well, we just forgot about him because he didn't pan out to be exactly what we thought he'd be. Maybe he'll still get there. He's still in the playoffs.
The nerds didn't forget about him. The nerds still love him.
Well, the nerds have loved the Chargers for the longest time because the nerds love Brandon Staley also. Like the nerds, that was their poster child, was Brandon Staley. And the nerds took like a big hit, and I think it hurt their heart when Brandon Staley got fired so quickly. So they're almost forced to love Herbert because they don't want to give up. It's like the process, right? Like they don't want to admit that the process was wrong. So they're just going to keep moving the kind of the goalposts and like, no, we still believe in Justin Herbert. It's just circumstances. It's not Justin Herbert's fault. So that's one thing to look at. Here's another storyline. Is there any chance in the world that Patriots Hall of Famer Tom Brady wants the Patriots to win this game?
Zero. Because he does like Josh McDaniels. That would be the only thing.
He likes Josh McDaniels, but he has really been put in a bad spot with this Drake May because Drake May very well may win the MVP this season. And if he wins the MVP this season, that little feud and Tom Brady has lost. They found their franchise quarterback. They win an MVP. Now, if he doesn't win the MVP, but they win a playoff game, like we know Drake May is the future for the Patriots. Yeah. So I don't think that Tom Brady even wants them to win this game. A guy that's in their Hall of Fame has a statue, I believe, is actively rooting for the Chargers to beat the Patriots just out of jealousy and spite for Drake May, which is insane because he has nothing to be jealous of with Drake May.
The good news is he's not announcing this game.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention this as part of the Rams-Panthers thing. Greg Olsen is announcing the game.
Oh, Panthers. Boy. I might put $40 on the Panthers money line.
I mean, it's just shitty to do to the Rams fans. You're watching your team play a playoff game. Somebody is announcing the game who loves the other team and can't hide it, basically. I think he might even live there.
You got Olsen with the Panthers, the ref and the Eagles.
Olsen doing the Panthers game. I just wanted to mark that down. All right, what was your third thing, Billy?
My third one, and this is like very inside that relates just to this show and this company. I'm wondering how the outcome of this game is going to affect your debut on Netflix because you're coming straight out of this game.
You're not the only one wondering about this.
If this is a situation, it's like the weather's going to be a little bit sloppy, 26 degrees, partly cloudy, 25% chance of precipitation. You're coming right out of this game.
Like literally right out. Like we're game ends, we're here.
You're going to have
low.
You're going to have no time to like decompress whatsoever. Like your actual like full emotions will be on display. How are you going to handle if the Patriots have like a late game situation where they blow this game?
I did mention to somebody 2 days ago that if it was a Tyler Book kind of ending and we were like going live 4 minutes later, that might be the first time I try Cocaine House.
Oh, I encourage that. Please, right?
Like
next time you come on Netflix, let's do that.
No, I don't. It's definitely a psychology experiment. I'm hoping the Patriots make it a little bit easier for us with that.
Do you think you're going to be able to like enjoy the game knowing that you're going to go live right after? Like, what point do you like? I need to kind of get into podcast mode, sit down, turn the equipment on, and get ready to go.
I don't think I've ever enjoyed a game where my team was favored to win the game and it was a playoff game. I don't know how you enjoy that. The enjoyable ones are when you're like the 2001 Pats when we were like 10-point underdogs in Pittsburgh. And you're just playing. I love the house money playoff games. This one where they're favored. I feel like the AFC's open. I feel like they're better than most people think they are, including house. So there's a lot at stake. And the big angle for me, on top of your angles, I genuinely think Drake May is like special as a quarterback. I really feel like he's great. Like he's like Mahomes in 2018, where after a while you're like, this guy's fucking great.
Well,
You know,
you
and
could
then
just
he
say
won a
Jaden
playoff game.
Daniels last year, who won 2 road playoff games.
Jaden Daniels,
Could
who
say
got hurt
him.
this year, but last year,
Could say him.
at some point we watched Jaden Daniels like, this guy's great. And we've had this happen with quarterbacks every once in a while in the playoffs and I just think he has it. I think his teammates think he has it. So for me, it's like, I think they're going to be able to move the ball. They got their left tackle back. I think they're going to be able to run the ball a little more than people realize because of Ramondre and Henderson coming on. And I think the Chargers have a lot of trouble, especially if Hampton's not 100% healthy. They don't score a lot of points. The Chargers, what do they have? It's basically like 19 points a game, their last 10 or something. They play 17, 14, 20 to 16 type of games, right? Herbert in the playoffs, I like.
He's also fumbled it a lot lately. He only had 2 fumbles, I think, in the first 12 games. He's fumbled the ball 5 times since he hurt his non-throwing hand. So if it's not ideal conditions, he could be turning this ball over.
We have playoff manifesto rule, the law of Lombardi, bad offensive lines don't travel. Who has a worse offensive line than the Chargers? We have the warm weather team coming to play in the cold weather at night. We have the never pick an underdog unless you genuinely believe they can win, which house thinks they can win, and then the home field advantage. But I just think the Pats are better than people think. I don't think people realize that they didn't have Milton Williams and Will Campbell for 4 or 5 weeks there. And people got too fixated on the schedule. They can move the ball. They have number 1 offense by EPA, and they have a quarterback who's excellent. House, make the case against them.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a prick about it. I just think that 3.5 is too many points. Like I wouldn't mess with this if it was 2.5 or 2 or whatever. Like the Patriots as a home field, having a home field advantage as a 14-3 2 seed. That I'd leave it alone. But 3.5 is too many, and there's a handful of reasons why. First of all, this Chargers team is tough. They've won tough games. They have 3 wins over playoff teams. They swept the Chiefs. And, we watched that Monday night game against the Philadelphia Eagles, still stuck in my craw. Now, Hurts aided and abetted the demise of the Eagles in that game. Yes. But Herbert was pressured 70% of the time and took 7 sacks, and they won that effing football game because their defense shut down the Eagles. Now, I'm not suggesting that, the Eagles offense and New England's offense are equivalent. They certainly are not. And I don't really have much quibble with Drake May winning MVP this year. I think there's a good case for Stafford, but if Drake May wins, I'm certainly not going to be upset. The problem I have is what you've hit on a couple times, which is, what do we know about this Patriots team against tough competition? Right. They play one good quarterback, who's Josh Allen. They split with him. Justin Herbert's going to be the second best quarterback that they face all season long. 14 wins for the Patriots. 11 of those wins have come against teams with rookie quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, or back quarterbacks that got benched. 11 of 14. So that goes to a lot of what we were talking about with the
Can I zag on that point?
You can.
I think that's why people are off the Patriots a little bit, because I think people are too fixated on the schedule.
Well, but not fixated. It's just what happened.
But I think they're actually a good team, is my point.
We're going to find out.
They're 13-1 in their last 14.
We're going to find out.
In the Buffalo game, they're up 21. They really could have won their last 14. That's the part I'm confused by. The quarterback's great. They can run the ball and throw the ball, and they're home. And 3.5 is a fair line. I honestly think they should be favored by 4, but what do I know?
It's a playoff debut, though, for him. Do you think that's going to impact him at all, or you think he's just got it?
I went back and I looked to Mahomes. Mahomes had the 0 touchdowns, 0 picks in his first playoff game, which they won, and then had the 37-31 game against the Pats. I haven't seen no defense. If you blitz him, he knows what to do. If you play back in zone, he kind of knows what to do. The only issue with this team is sometimes they start out slow, and there's a scenario where they start out slow. Chargers get the McConkey 35-yard touchdown or whatever. They're playing behind. Can I debunk the Chargers defense for a second? Because the stats are really good for them, and I think people think they're really good. So I'm just going to lay out some stuff here. They played Vegas twice, and they played KC twice. And I don't think, does anyone think KC had a good offense even with Mahomes? They were fine. Mediocre, not explosive. They couldn't run the ball. Like they were a 500 team. They had 2 games where the best wideout on the other team blew out his ACL in the first half of the game. Neighbors and Tyreek Hill. So there's another 2. They played broken Carson Wentz in Minnesota. They played Tennessee. They played Week 18 Denver when nobody cared. Dallas, Pickens had 130 on him. AJ, that Philly game when Philly was in a coma, AJ still ended up with 100. Sutton had 6 for 118 in the first game. Jacksonville smoked them. Indianapolis smoked them with deep balls and running everything earlier in the season. Washington beat them 27-10. You remember that one, House?
I did.
Multiple
I
big plays. Houston beat them a couple weeks ago, got 2 bombs in the first quarter, and that made the difference. And the only one that you could really make the case their defense was awesome was when they shut down Pittsburgh. But I don't know if their defense is as good as people seem to think it is.
Well, we'll
find out on Sunday night.
That's right. The thing they're good at is limiting explosives. There's a bunch of indicators that say that they don't allow deep passes. I
looked at that, but they've allowed a bunch of them, though. Houston had 2 weeks ago.
That's fine. But across the entire body of the season, they're one of the very best at limiting 20-yard or deeper passes. And
your
that's the thing.
Your white guy on Washington got a 50-yarder on him.
Oh, they're gettable. Don't let don't get it twisted.
I feel like you can get them.
Do you think the weather's going to allow explosive plays? Like this feels like
seemed to have affected the Pats.
Yeah, he's going to try and throw deep no matter what. He doesn't care about the weather.
I mean, can I walk you through the worst case scenario for this game for the Pats? Ramondre fumble, some sort of dumb special teams thing. Drake has the first half interception that makes everyone go, oh God, he's so young.
Well, don't underrate
some big Chargers explosive play.
The hot head coaching candidate is Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, right? He's in. I mean, I heard his name come out in connection with Baltimore. This is a referendum, right? This defense, when they've had Derwin James and Khalil Mack this season, it's been a pretty good defense.
Pats are pretty healthy. I'll throw this in too, guys. Everyone's taking the Chargers. This has been like one of the popular, I think the most popular of the 6 for underdog picks has been the Chargers. And I just think people are looking at the Pats schedule. So I like the spot the Pats are in -3.5. There's a prop I like too. Hunter Henry, 30+ receiving yards on FanDuel with the Pats just to win. That's -102. I think Hunter Henry will be heard from in this game. Hampton's hurt. Eduardo, who's a Chargers fan, who I'll probably not be talking to after Sunday night, who works on our podcast with us, reminded me that Hampton got hurt near the end of that last game. Might not be 100%.
Gadsden's fine.
Last thing I'll give you.
How's New England against tight ends?
Guy by the name Mike Vrabel. 5 times, 5 playoff games for him. Played Lamar twice, Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes in those 5 games. 19.8 points a game in those 5 games for the opponents.
There's some losses in there.
I'm just saying, Mike Vrabel is a good coach, and I don't think he gets mentioned in this.
Harbaugh, a good coach.
How many Super Bowls did Harbaugh win? It's the same as Mike Vrabel.
Well, how many Super Bowls has Vrabel been to other than
I'm
as a
taking
player?
Pats -3.5. House can fuck off. We'll go to the next
By the
one.
way, the spread, you're wrong. The percentage of bets is 64% for New England. The money is 65% New England. The public is not on New England.
That's not what the people in Boston, they think everybody's picking the Chargers. I talked to my dad 2 hours ago. My dad said everyone's picking the Chargers. That might have been an erroneous report from my 78-year-old retired father.
The massholes, everybody's against us.
Jesus, everyone's against us. Texans, Steelers. This dropped to, what was it, -2.5, went to 3.5, now it's at 3? Didn't it start at 2.5 though, House?
It did. It definitely started at 2.5, yes.
This is another one I love, Billy.
You love the game?
Yeah, I do. Because initially, I had the same instincts everyone else had of, Houston. And then you start staring into it. You take a chug of the voodoo juice that Pittsburgh has. It's just improbable. It'll be the chase game for everybody who lost money in Saturday, Sunday, putting money on Houston -3. I've just seen this too many times.
Take 10 seconds. What's in voodoo juice? What like I mean, Iron City is the beer up there.
Iron City beer.
Put a tiny bit of that, but what's the liquor they drink up there? Ask Horlbeck. Ask Craig. Well, let's make a voodoo juice. I'll drink it.
There's
it
some
Monday night.
Permanente juice.
Yeah, well, that's...
There's some Mike Tomlin sweat.
The run over of the grease from the Permanente sandwich?
There's some Permanente grease. Billy, what do you have for the angle?
So I have two storylines for this one. The first one, Texans are not a Monday team. If you look at the Texans in the playoffs, the Texans are a Saturday team. They should be playing on Saturday.
There's the Shakey's game.
This is the first game that they have played in the wildcard round that is not on a Saturday. They're 6-2 on Saturdays. When they advance and then they go and they play on Sundays, they've lost both Sunday games that they played in. They're also 0-2 on Monday Night Football this season, so they're not a Monday team. Craig mentioned it earlier this week. The Steelers haven't lost a home game on Monday Night Football since 1991. Texans are coming in hot, but it feels like, we talked about the fix being in another game with the officials. It feels like this game was put on Monday night simply to give the Steelers a fighting chance. Like, give them the day. They played Sunday Night Football last week. Get Rodgers healthy. We can't have him play on short rest 6 days only after Sunday Night Football. We'll give him the Monday night game, and then things will hopefully take care of themselves. We'll get, the Tomlin narrative. We'll get the Rodgers narrative. Maybe this is the year he does one last run. It feels like maybe the fix was in with the scheduling on this one. Plus, the Steelers now get DK Metcalf back, which DK Metcalf, you saw how important he was. That game in Cleveland, they should have wrapped up the division. They ended up not winning because of the fact that there was no receivers out there. They end up kind of hanging on because of the missed field goal last week where DK would have been important to them. So DK coming back is huge, but Texans, not a Monday Night Football team.
On top of that, there's some pretty disturbing CJ Stroud outdoor stats that I didn't love. There is some really, really alarming Houston rushing stats. And I had Woody Marks on my fantasy team. The problem with Woody Marks is he looks good for an hour and then all of a sudden he's not in the game anymore and he's got the red flag next to him.
He had a record like 12 straight games or something that he left early, I think, during the season, right?
Yeah, I don't trust him
every
Pittsburgh on a Monday night. Then I'm down to Nick Chubb. Houston's offense, 30th EPA run. Defense, first against the pass, 11th against the run. And that's the best reason to take them. Pittsburgh's ridiculous. You look at the Houston wins, their best wins were Jacksonville, Buffalo, Chargers, Niners. They came back from 19 in that Jacksonville game with Davis Mills. That was weird. They beat Mac Jones in San Francisco. No Bosa and Warner was right after they got hurt. They beat Buffalo in that Thursday night game that I still don't know what happened. And Josh was driving at the end and they end up losing. The Chargers game was just ridiculous where they got the 2 early passes. Gadsden fumbled at the goal line. That was a dopey game. They lost to Jacksonville, the Rams, Seattle, and Denver. The big things for me, is it possible, House, that Pittsburgh is just a good, bad team? And they've roped us into this moment. And every win they've had was explicable. They wouldn't even be in the playoffs if Tyler Loop can just kick a field goal straight. And then they go into this and Houston's defense just runs over them. And we're like, God, how stupid were we? We thought Pittsburgh was going to win that game.
I'm willing to live with that outcome. This is like all the stuff. This is the worst football field, not just in professional football, but definitely in college, maybe in America. We have to go to some high school fields to find a football field as bad as this. Watch the guys when they run. It's sand getting kicked up every single time that anybody takes a meaningful step. And on top of that, part of the voodoo, we just watched it. It's impossible to kick the football in this field. Kaimi Fairbairn, he wants to miss extra points anyway. He wants to miss extra points when he's in his own dome stadium. Let him get out here with, there's supposed to be the potential for precipitation. I knew I could get it out 10 times. I'll try.
Wow, that was impressive, Huss.
Yeah, potential for precipitation and just the usual what weird winds and stuff. I mean, even the Steelers' own guy missed an extra point last week. That's how crazy it is. I
was trying to think like the score of this game will definitely sound like a war that happened. Mm-hmm. It'll be like 1918, 1713, 1816. Like it's you just know it's going to be weird and it won't be in the 20s.
Can I ask a weird question? Because this is something else that I was wanting to watch, a story to watch.
Yeah.
Do we know that Mike Tomlin wants to win this game?
Oh.
Because there's been conversation about, maybe he's on his way out. He's the longest tenured coach, 19 seasons.
Yeah, there
but
was some TV stuff with him that they thought maybe he was going into the wacky world of TV.
Listen, he's great for short sound bites, but there's no way long form Mike Tomlin on TV is going to work out like in pregame shows. But he's it seems like it's a loveless marriage at this point where both sides are like, this isn't going to last forever. I don't want to be the one that calls it quits. They're not going to fire him. They want him to just move on. But how does he do it? There's a talk out there. Well, maybe he, sees an opening like Atlanta. He goes down there. It's an easy division that he can win. But now that Harbaugh's gone in what was a loser leaves town match, maybe that's a game where both people leave town after that game last week, right? Where Harbaugh's out. And now Tomlin says, you know what? I don't have a franchise quarterback here. We have Aaron Rodgers. He kind of hinted at this was his last season, but you never know with Aaron. Now he makes the playoffs. He says, you know what? I got one more ride in me. Do I really want to have a 20th season here? And my quarterback is 49-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who's not going to get it done. I'm not going to win again. Or do I look over there where, John Harbaugh left. There's an opening over there. You have a franchise quarterback. You have
what
a running
are you doing
back.
right now?
You have a situation where you have Mike McDaniel, who can you bring in as an offensive coordinator to kind of play with the toys.
This is amazing.
And now
this is
Mike
like a
Tomlin,
fucking WWE move.
He heads over to Baltimore after ending their season, and he has this roster that's so much better than what he's dealing with now. But you can't do that if you win a playoff game. So does he actually want to win this game and just prolong a season that's going to end in disappointment anyways?
That's amazing. Mike Tomlin blowing this playoff game and then immediately joining the Ravens. That's like Hogan joining the NWO. It's on par with that.
I mean, counter, why couldn't they win this playoff game, go get blown out in the next one, and then he can do it, go right to Baltimore?
But here's the thing.
What's keeping them?
If they win this playoff game, they go to Denver.
Oh, they can definitely win in Denver.
Anyone can go and win in Denver. We've seen it over and over again.
It's hard to leave if you go on a run. You win one, maybe you get hot, you end up in Denver.
So your advice is,
you win. Look, he's a man of integrity. He's not a man that I believe will toss the game. He's a man who, on countless occasions, has told us he does not blink.
Yeah.
But should they lose, I don't think that he will think it's the worst thing in the world. Deep on the inside of him, he won't say it publicly, but on the inside, not the worst thing for Mike Tomlin.
So wow,
manifesto rules. Nobody believes in us. Steelers, they qualify. Never pick an underdog unless you think they can win. Yes. Dome or warm weather teams playing outdoors in cold weather. Ka-ching. Aging quarterbacks in cold weather. We've already decided Rodgers is immune. When in doubt, gravitate toward the one pick that would screw over the most gamblers and experts, and definitely go against the single worst gambler you know. I feel like a lot of people are going to be on Houston as the chase bet -3 on Monday night. And then last but least, the law of Lombardi. Bad offensive lines don't travel. Houston, you qualify for this one. And on top of this, the CJ Stroud stuff, I love this Steelers pick. I wish it was 3.5. I don't mind getting the 3. I feel like they could lose and still cover because we're going to have the War of 1816 or the War of 1715 or whatever we get. House, what do you think about Metcalf 15-1 most receiving yards round 1?
Why not?
15-1.
Why not?
Most receiving yards.
Why not?
Nobody has more than them.
Yeah, I understand. Throw a dart. Go ahead. What's to keep it?
What do you think of the under in this game, by the way? The old Anthony DeBundo Houston under.
It's at 38.5. I mean, it's literally right there, isn't it?
Feels like a teaser for me on Monday. Bringing the Steelers up to +7.5, bringing that under up even more. I don't think this game gets to 40 points. I don't see it.
I can't get past how emotional the Steelers were after they beat Baltimore. Like those guys, this is the absolute peak of recency bias out of me. But Cam Hayward, Rodgers, they were pouring it out for each other out there.
That's a manifesto rule, though. The team that was too excited after.
No, I don't think they weren't too excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
They clinched their playoff spot after on the precipice of missing. They clinched it. Those are all a bunch of vets too.
Are we going to see the Hayward brothers nonsense again this week?
Yes.
I hated that last week so much.
We are definitely going to see it.
Worst.
I actually think that these guys are related is probably my least favorite media storyline that they feel obligated to hammer home. Like, we get it. TJ Watt and JJ Watt are brothers.
Anyone else on the team could have been pushing the brother. Anyone else on that team could have been pushing him. Them bringing in Cam to do that was just to make that a storyline.
Yeah. I tried to avoid it, but now you've brought it up, and now we've fallen prey.
We did it
to their tricks. All right, today's Ringer 107 brought to you by FanDuel. It is round one of the playoffs. We have 5 Ringer 107 picks. We just spent over 7 hours talking about them. First one, Packers minus 1.5 points in Chicago. We laid out all the reasons. We think the Packers can move the ball. We think the Bears, their luck is about to run out. Next one, favorite bet on the board, Jaguars plus 1.5 at home against Buffalo. We were all aligned. We can't believe that the Jags aren't favored in this game and that nobody believes in us. We laid that whole case out. Next one, Monday night, our third and final favorite game, Steelers plus 3. The Voodoo Steelers going against a Houston team that has a lot of tiny playoff manifesto things going against it. Steelers plus 3. We're also opening the door for the Steelers to lose by 2 or 1, which is very possible. Anything's in play in this game. Eagles minus 4.5 is our next one. We talked long and hard about this. Feels like the Niners have just passed the point of no return with injuries. And then last but not least, House begged me not to do this. Billy urged me to get weird. Pat's money line parlayed with the over of 36.5 points. That's our 5th pick. And then for posterity, just for the quest to go undefeated, Panthers plus 10.5 and Pats plus minus 3.5, just to have those on the record. House, your favorite of those picks?
Jacksonville.
Billy, your favorite of those picks?
I think the Panthers, which is an unofficial pick, is my favorite of the picks. But of the official picks, I'd say Steelers. I think the Steelers.
Should we throw the Panthers in there and dump the Pats?
No,
let's not get too crazy.
Greg Olsen wearing a jersey in the booth.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Greg Olsen back there. Panthers
unofficial, and those are the Ringer 107 picks for round one. What do you call the playoffs, Billy? Are you a round one guy? Are you a wild card round guy? Where have you landed?
There was are we still in the era of super wild card weekend? Because there was wild card weekend and then there was
next weekend.
Next weekend's already the divisional round.
Oh, next weekend's, yeah.
Yeah, so there was at one point we were referring to it as super wild card weekend, but I think now it's back to just wild card weekend.
Yeah.
How about round 1 and round 2? That sounds pretty good. And then the AFC title game, NFC title game?
No, you need a name. Catch a name.
It helps me. Wild card helps me remember. Oh yes, there are shitty teams playing this weekend. Now I remember why.
This is like the weekend I could still go run errands, and it's not really going to impact things because those Saturday games aren't going to matter all that much. I don't have to give up my entire weekend for wild card. I'll catch up with what happened.
House, did Billy do enough to come back next week?
Oh, it's between him and Schrager. I mean, let him. Let
Schrager met. You know what? I didn't see him today. He wasn't available.
Today's Ringer, that was an amazing performance. All those storylines were magnificent.
Today's Ringer 107 brought to you by FanDuel. Odds subject to change. Before we go, Billy, you worried about Bam Adebayo at all? What's going on with him?
I don't know.
Why doesn't he look like a franchise guy anymore?
He's always kind of had that situation, right? Where they wouldn't want to trade him to get anyone because they're like, this is our guy, this is our franchise guy, but he can't carry the team far enough. And then the Heat started out and they were looking great. And I can't figure out the Heat or Bam or their love obsession with keeping Bam and not improving the team. Because to make the Heat better, you can't win with Hero and Bam, just them, right?
No.
And Norman Powell is
you should
fine,
trade Hero. You should try to be moving Hero, trying to upgrade. Keep Norman Powell. I don't know. What would you do, House?
I'm just going to tip my cap to the Podfather. We've been on here for 2 hours and 20 minutes, and we're about to go. And you say, "Hey, Billy,
while he was there, I was just curious.
I
was just curious.
We're fucking 40 games.
You know what?
Barely 40 games.
Go ahead. No, what's going on is House is hungry.
Who gives a shit about the? I am hungry.
No, House is hungry. When we would drive from Vegas to LA, House.
We just did.
We have a Miami Heat expert right here.
The NFL playoffs. Oh, let's talk about the Miami Heat.
When we would drive to Vegas, and House would just be calling out fast food, like Jack in the Box, Arby's.
How about Bam Adebayo?
Well, now we have NFL picks, and we have some thoughts on Bam Adebayo.
That no one
We're
wanted.
ready to go. Are you doing college football tailgate?
Yeah, college football. Ooh, we're having a Friday edition of college football tailgate to recap the semifinals games. So join us live.
Yes,
yeah, Friday night.
And then House Fairway Rolling starts on Netflix as part of our batch of sports pods going to Netflix.
Yeah, we have our debut show next week. Will be on Netflix in 2 weeks, I think.
Okay, great. Yeah. All right. House, thank you.
Appreciate
Billy,
you as always.
Thank you. Good to see you guys.
Thank you, Billy.
All right. Thanks to House and Billy. Thanks to Gahal and Eduardo as well. Rewatchables, it's up. Mailbag last week. What Lies Beneath coming Tuesday this week. And tickets available starting on Friday for the live BS podcast show at the Wiltern in Los Angeles on February 11th. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the sports. Go Pats, go Celtics. 2 big Celtic games this week, too. I hope this is a great Boston sports weekend for my sanity. I will see you on Sunday night. Must be 21 plus and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.